and he said,
We're going to go
well,
live and listen to
so I
Trump.
mean,
Let's
they've
listen to
really
this live.
what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. We're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish. We cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something, but to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry
What's up,
man right
Steve?
now. I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She
What
is
up,
crazy
Sly?
too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave.
Can you
He's
guys
very
hear me
unhappy,
okay?
very angry.
Is it
And I think
crackling
he
or anything?
also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad thing in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed. And he had a rough debate, but that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes.
It's crackling a little bit on my end.
I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to
Hey,
find
cool,
out what
cool.
a bad job she did.
Appreciate it.
What a
Appreciate
bad
it.
job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said border czar. Oh, she loved that name. She loved that name, but she never went there.
Thanks,
She
Gary.
went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a
Trump's got to stay on track. He's got to stay on
part of the
track.
problem. That was not really going to the border. So
Don't talk about
essentially, she never went
Kamala
to
and
the
that
border.
guy.
And if you listen to Tom Homan, if you listen to the great border people, Brandon Judd from Border Patrol, if you listen to Paul, I mean, so many different people. I speak to them all the time. And I did when I was president. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Millions of people coming in, and our country cannot sustain it. Our country is going down because of this, because of incompetent people.
Is it crackling on my end?
Look forward
Does
to
it sound
these
like it's
debates.
crackling
I think
over
it's
here?
very important that we have them. I hope she agrees to them. September 4th, September 10th, September 25th. And I think they'll be very revealing. I think they'll be very revealing. Do you have any questions, please?
Okay, so I guess this is just his first interview. It's like his little press conference. Is my microphone crackling, or does
I
it?
haven't recalibrated
Anybody who's getting
strategy at
crackling, do
all.
me a favor. Go
It's the
out and
same
come back in and see
policies.
if it sounds
Open
better.
borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden because he got forced into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California.
Okay, if
as
it's
the
clear, that's
AG.
good. Because
But
sometimes
as the
it's
DA, she
bad.
destroyed San Francisco. A friend of mine, Bob Tisch. All know the Tisch family. He was in many cities with companies.
His mind is
He
loud as
said
hell.
the greatest city in the country is
All
San
right,
Francisco.
cool.
That was about
I
20
just want to
years
make sure,
ago.
so I'm going to start this
And
stream
he
over.
passed away a while ago, and he would be looking down and said, what happened?
Cool,
He thought it
brother.
was the best city in the country. He had divisions there, lows. And he
I
would
want
be looking
reporters
down
to
in
ask
horror
him
now when he
questions.
sees
That's what I'm here
she
for.
destroyed no cash bail, weak on crime. She's terrible. And yet they weaponized the system against me. They have me. I got so many lawyers. Now they want to delay cases. I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge. And all they do is they play the ref with the judges. This judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the special, I call it prosecutor, special counsel.
Biden lost
special
it. Biden
prosecutor
lost
to
it.
me,
But Trump, he won his for presidential immunity.
appointed by him, appointed by Garland. He said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we no longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things. And she should not be in a position because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail. It's going to be a failure the likes of which this world has never seen. Yeah, please.
Well, we know it's going to be a failure while it takes over. We know that because it's already a failure right now while she's in office. That's the thing. She's in office and it's failing.
You have to speak louder. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't hear that reporter's question. They need to have a microphone out there so we can hear the questions.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Uh, Perhaps, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Uh, Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up. Now, I don't know.
Because you
All we're
are a
doing
white
is
male.
giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're
Black
doing pretty well.
heterosexual males.
And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on
Very
the
bad
throes of a
economy.
depression, not recession, a depression. And they
Billy
can't have
Brooks
that.
was
They can't
good,
have
was
that. So I
good.
think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back.
Man, I can't stand the fact that we can't hear the questions they're asking. They didn't do this press conference right. They should have had
Well, I
microphones
don't know.
out
I know
there.
Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices.
Yeah,
but
that
Josh
part.
Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people.
She got 1% of the vote last primary election. She got 1%. 99% of the Democrats said they don't want her to be their president. 99%.
I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates.
Thanks, Chris.
We think we should do 3 debates. We think Fox and ABC. And we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate.
That's going to be
So
funny.
CBS will do vice
That's
presidential.
the vice president.
And,
Oh, that's going to be funny.
And I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
I want to know how they're going to secure this country and keep America as a sovereign nation against the one world government, World Economic Forum, United Nations. How are they going to keep America solid?
Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had
she's a 1%.
in Michigan recently, 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, which they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying, turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible.
I care less about crowd size, honestly, because nobody supports Kamala. Nobody does. Nobody does. Crowd size is irrelevant. Nobody supports her.
The Republican Party and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. Zero chance.
I believe that.
You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to do it with dignity and strength. And we were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed, and we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers.
Yeah, that withdrawal was horrible. Everybody knew the withdrawal was horrible.
Face. None of that would have happened.
You can't just tuck your tail and take off running. You can't do that
because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was
I
going up to
believe that.
$7, $8,
I believe that.
$9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election, if they won, you're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market.
Yeah.
People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make
Electric
enough
is expensive to repair. That's the thing. Nobody's going to
you know
save
what
up
else?
$15,000 for a new battery. Nobody's going to do that. It's not happening.
Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times. It's 2.5 times heavier.
Yeah.
You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous
94% AR. Oh,
so,
pigeon.
The
The pigeon
but on
coop. The
crowd
pigeon
size,
coop. 94%
in
AR.
history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have, and you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say, that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people.
I could care less about crowd size. Nobody supports Kamala, bottom line. Nobody cares. It's
in
like,
Alabama, had
people support Trump regardless of his crowd
size.
size.
With me, but she has 1,000 people. Or
Kamala has to throw concerts. She's got to get big names to get people to come to her events.
Is with me and the Republican
Trump,
Party.
He don't need a big name to
because
come to his event. If they say Trump's in town, everybody's going. So what? Who cares?
From places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of. That's where
Kamala has to throw we got Meg Thee Stallion, we got this, we got that. She's got to throw a concert or some black event just to get black people to show up because nobody's going to show up. Yeah. Nobody cares about Kamala. We could care less about crowd size. We know we don't. 1% of the people chose Kamala in the original, primary years ago. Nobody cares about Kamala Harris.
I don't know.
Nobody does.
I got him elected.
They hate him more than they like her.
I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it, but if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly, for some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina.
Trump, get with it, man. Get with it. What are we doing with the future?
It doesn't happen.
We know he was president before. We know that. I support you, Trump. You were president before. I get it. Let's talk about what we're going to do now.
A lot of people say what happened, and we have to. All we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, and we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people, because right now the Democrats are getting sued right now for paying. They use some of the fund. I'm gonna have that video. They use some funds out of a different program.
Well, he actually said it
to get votes.
He said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that? Right? If you watch him, he said it 2 ways. No. I mean, he said it 2 ways because he doesn't really know what he said. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? He had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate. He could have talked about that at the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that.
This is live.
He's just, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all.
That's it. Honest elections. That's all we ask for. Because paying to have immigrants and foreign influence in our election is election interference. That's what I believe. You can't have a lot of immigrants from other countries voting in an American sovereign nation's election.
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through. And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones. I'm speaking to radio. I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
Facts.
And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country, because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore.
Nope.
North Korea, Kim Jong-un liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group.
Dims.
We are in
good.
great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen.
Thompson,
No,
you called
after their
it. You called it.
invention,
This is
yeah,
all.
and I'm going out. Actually, I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points.
Even if you're leading, still
by
go.
record numbers.
Still go.
I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen.
I'm glad you're still going.
elected.
I'm glad you're still
Congressmen
going.
and women get elected. Yes, please.
The fact that Kamala Harris won't go to places where Democrats are voting, she doesn't feel she has to still go there because she's already winning. I don't like that. I think even if you're winning, go show those people some love. Kamala Harris won't do it. They've already admitted it. They will not go to any Democratic place where they're guaranteed to win because they don't want to show love there.
So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement. I respect Elon a lot. He respects me. And not easy for him to endorse, to be honest with you. You know, it takes courage to endorse people. Many people have courage and many people don't. He does have courage. And Elon endorsed me, and he asked me whether or not I'd do a show on Monday, and I think it's going to be Monday night. And I believe he's the host of the show. So
Zero love.
It'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night.
Yeah, all the Kamala events are to get black celebrities,
you have a
lure
lot of
black people back in.
About
That's
China,
her trick.
And you have a lot of misinformation spread about a lot of different places. I think I'm going to get along great with China. President Xi of China and I were very good friends. We met right here, right in that, except we had a beautiful sofa there, as opposed to what we have right now. Right now we have you. But President Xi and I had a very good relationship until COVID. And I held him responsible for COVID. It broke up our relationship. But I think we're going to have a great relationship. And I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. But we cannot have it where China is taking advantage of the United States. And that's what they were doing, as you very well know. Yes, please.
Especially with trade, they're taking advantage. And now they're in our country, coming through the southern border, taking over our intellectual property here. They're stealing the data we have here in America. They're hacking systems here in America.
What's your question?
We can't hear the questions, man. That sucks. That's the only time I'm talking.
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly when you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed. Nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think
was killed. That lady got shot on January 6th.
Were treated very unfairly. And they were there to complain, not through me. They were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall. I was at the Washington Monument.
And he told everybody to go home.
I had crowds.
He didn't incite a riot. He told everybody to go home.
I had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times.
Nobody showed that video.
I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd.
Because nobody shows that video.
A small number of people relatively going
go home
to the Capitol. But
they'll sort it all out.
Picture of the crowd, the biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds.
He ain't lying.
Bigger than
I've seen videos of it.
If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no problem, Abby. No problem. You knew I was going to get on. This is historic right here. This is history. We're all a part of history right now. I mean, this is going down live right now, just like we live stream, you know, the assassination
sure.
attempt. This
We
is
have
what
a
we do over here.
constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not complaining from that standpoint.
We'll talk about
And
this, both.
I hate to be defending him, but he did not want to leave. He wanted to see if he could win. They said, you're not going to win. After the debate, they said, you're not going to win. You can't win. You're out. And at first they said it nicely, and he wasn't leaving. And then you know it better than anybody. Wait a minute. So when you think about it, they said at first they were going to go out to another vote. They were going to go through a primary system, a quick primary system, which it would have to be. And then it all disappeared, and they just picked a person that was the first out. She was the first loser. Okay,
yep,
so
yep.
we call her the
1%
first
of the
loser.
vote. 99% of the people didn't want her.
When during the primary system, during
99% said no to her.
She was the first one to quit, and she quit. She had no votes, no support, and
Nope.
she was a bad debater.
Zero,
very bad
zero.
Debater.
Yep.
And that's not the thing.
Everybody sees it. Everybody sees it, except Democrats.
Obviously a bad job. She never made it to Iowa. Then for some reason, and I know he regrets it, you do too, he picked her, and she turned on him too. She was working with the people that wanted him out.
Yep.
But the fact that you can get no votes,
deep state,
lose in the primary system, in other words, you had 14 or 15 people, she was the first one out, and that you can then be picked to run for president.
Exactly. It makes no logical sense.
Unconstitutional. Perhaps it's not. Please.
Well, see, this is the thing. I think they're going to allow it to happen because it is unconstitutional, because in the Constitution, it has to be done a certain way. They're going to nullify anything. If she truly gets elected, they're going to nullify based on the unconstitutionality of her even running for president.
So I've run against
That's
Hillary,
what I think.
And I've run against various other people. I would say that in terms of intelligence, Hillary was far superior. I would say that. Hillary was smart. She was her own worst enemy in many ways.
Hillary was clever.
Smart,
she was a clever criminal. That's all.
Okay.
Erased all the emails. I don't have any emails. Wait, 10,000 emails? You don't got 10,000? No, we don't know where they went. Exactly. Well, see, in order to commit a crime, you have to commit a crime. They have to let her get elected in order for her to commit a crime. You can't commit a crime by saying, I'm going to do something. They're going to let her run for president. If she wins, they're going to nullify it because she didn't go through the electoral process according to the Constitution, making it unconstitutional for her to become president. They have to let it happen, though. So she's doing all of this for nothing. I believe she's doing all of this for nothing because they're going to nullify it in the Supreme Court. Once you hit the Supreme Court and they nullify her election, she can't go back over that. It means she lost. Basically, she lost.
Yeah. So I think the abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate. And
give abortion to the states. Give it to the states. It's not a federal issue. It's a state issue.
Have the exceptions, as you know. And
give it to the states. It's not federal.
When I look, for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's Democrats, Republicans, and independents.
Give it to the states. It's not a federal issue.
Liberals, conservatives,
it should be a state
everybody
issue.
wanted it back in the states, and I did that. Now the states are voting, and frankly, some of the votes are much more, if you could say, liberal than you would think. Ohio turned out to be, they had a big vote, and it turned out to be a much more liberal standing than people would have thought. Kansas is.
I agree, Latino.
And then you have Texas, and you have other places where it may be different.
Abortion should not be a federal issue. It's a state issue. He knows
like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the
Supreme Court's even said it. It's a state issue, not a federal issue.
I believe, I believe strongly. I think that
exactly. It didn't ban abortion. It just said you have to ask your states for one. So you have to elect.
Believe in the exceptions. I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue.
Yeah.
But about 82% of Republicans
people think it got banned. It didn't get banned.
I think
it means a lot of local people who you agree with locally elect them
even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small. I think it's actually going to be a very small.
Thank you, C. Smith.
What I've done
it's an individual issue. It should be local. It should be local,
every
not
Republican
federal.
Wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states, and now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought. But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it.
It's the people. It's an individual issue.
You know, when you think about
for your community leaders, that's who should be over the support issue.
Because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month, and even after birth. If you look at your new,
it's based on the state.
governor from
elect people correctly
Minnesota
is based on the
he's
state.
talking about, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our
I'm glad you
whole
said that,
campaign in
Bodacious.
Virginia.
I'm glad you
Glenn
said
Youngkin.
that.
But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born. We will put the baby aside and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that.
It should be an individual issue.
Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination. So I'll use the word progressive. You know, they want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use the word progressive. But there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore, really. And when people hear what I said in the debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate, we brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states.
Yep.
And very importantly, and you think about this, assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your heart.
Give it to the states.
Follow your heart. But that
issue the states can't even get
very much
the federal government cannot even get immigration right. The federal government can't get immigration right. So how are you going to get life right? Abortion is about life. Give it to the states, local people, community leaders. Give it. Don't make it federal. Once you make it federal, we can't even get immigration right on a federal standard.
Look, if you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they wanted hunting.
Well,
they want,
abortion
different things.
is an issue.
They need weapons for protection in this country.
For people who were raped,
people
or
live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun.
It's an issue.
If you look at
some
countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago.
Yep.
On July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago. You know,
Audacious, you wild.
They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that. Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country. And I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent.
Yep.
When he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, You know, if you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months. And then we had the disaster of the lift.
Yep.
People were falling off airplanes from 3 times the height of the World Trade Center.
They were scared of Trump. They knew Trump was crazy enough to hit that button. Dude, leave my people alone. Please. Trump was crazy enough to hit that button. Nobody messed with him. Because he's not predictable. You mess with him, he's gonna hit that button, and they know it. That's why they were scared of him.
I'd be against that. That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons.
Fact, Mr. Hayes. Facts.
That's what I hear. Look, she's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad to Jewish people. And I say it, if anybody I know is Jewish and they would vote for Kamala over me, they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy. I gave them no Iran deal. The problem is they didn't do anything with it. Iran was broke. We could have made a deal so easily. I would have had a deal done within 1 week after the election with Iran. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We would have gotten along with Iran.
Don't give Iran no.
Looking forward to it. I was fine with Iran. You know,
they have radical leadership,
hard, but we would have been fine with Iran. But I terminated that deal. I got them the Abraham Accords. Everyone said that's impossible. I got them the Abraham Accords. She's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad and disrespectful to Jewish people. And any Jewish person that votes for Kamala and her friend, her new friend, who I don't know if she knew him before, but I don't think he's too good. But anybody that votes for them, if you're Jewish or if you love Israel, you have to have your head examined.
Well, they like Tim because Tim sold out Minnesota for Uber. Uber is where Tony West is. Tony West is Kamala Harris's brother-in-law. That's why she chose Tim for immigrants.
I think they've done a very good job.
He's going to be the VP.
I think they did a very good job with respect to this other lunatic that they have in custody. Please.
Yeah, Tim Waltz is not going to secure the border. He won't do it because he needs Uber and Lyft and everybody to keep fattening his pockets. That's why she's chose Tim. It's all about immigrants. He is the key to immigration and flooding this country with illegals.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years.
Don't bring up Willie Brown. Leave him out of it, man. This dude is married and living his life. Leave him alone, man.
But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he
we know.
Maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Yeah. Because sometimes I'll be like, we should talk about Willie Brown, but then I think about Willie Brown's wife. That lady, she don't want that stuff brought all up again. She's living her life. She's enjoying her friends, her grandchildren, her life. Willie Brown's wife has nothing to do with none of this. Leave that lady out of it, man.
I'm
just leave the Browns alone.
That. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida does have a vote coming up on that, and I think probably the vote will go in a little more liberal way than people thought. But I'll be announcing that at the appropriate time. Please.
Man, I wish we could hear the questions. Man, they got to fix that. I guess on the replays, they'll fix it and let us hear the questions. I mean, you can't make out nothing they're saying. I can't hear a word.
Oh, we gave tremendous for child care and all of that. No, our tax cuts, which are the biggest in history, our tax cuts are coming due, as you know, very soon. And if the Democrats don't renew them or make it impossible to renew because it's pretty close in terms of vote, if they don't renew them, it's the equivalent of having a 4 times tax increase from what you have right now, and it'll destroy the economy. I think they're under tremendous pressure to do it. I've never seen, all my life I grow up and I watch politics, and I used to be on the other side of politics first, then I run for office. But in all the years of studying politics, I've never seen people get elected by saying, we're going to give you a tax increase. These guys get up. Think of it. We're going to give you no security. We're going to give you a weak military. We're going to give you no walls, no borders, no anything. We're going to, all these things they're doing. I mean, the transgender became such a big thing, but they do all of these things, but they always say, we're going to give you a tax increase. I never heard anybody campaign on a tax increase. A politician has always said, I will cut taxes.
Because we got to pay for these immigrants. That's why they're increasing our taxes. We got to pay for the immigrants.
They're going to destroy Social Security.
They're giving it away already.
I am going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age. I will be saving Social Security. I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips.
Every ride I do is a tip.
Waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government.
That's what I'm talking about.
No tax on tips. That's a big thing.
Every ride is going to cost $3. My tip is going to be $50.
Yeah.
Every ride I do is a $3 ride. Forget that. I'm going to have a Lambo doing $3 rides. How much is the tip? $1,000 tip. Damn, yeah.
Motivated. I think it's a horrible thing they did. Look, they've weaponized government against me. Look at the Florida case. It was a totally weaponized case. All of these cases, by the way, the New York cases are totally controlled out of the Department of Justice. They sent their top person to the various places. They went to the AG's office, got that one going. Then he went to the DA's office, got that one going, ran through it. No, this is all politics, and it's a disgrace. Never happened in this country. It's very common that it happens, but not in our country. It happens in banana republics and third world
That
countries,
part.
and that's
Delta
what we're
roots.
becoming. We
That
have no borders. We have bad voting regulations. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have problems. France learned that lesson. You know, France had all mail-in voting, and they went back to paper ballots, voter identification, voter ID. They went back to a normal system, one-day voting. They don't want to be around, you know, voting for 64 days. And look, the election, I keep talking about November 5th, but the election really starts on September 6th. That's when it starts because it's early voting.
Oh,
We
yeah.
should have one-day voting. We should have paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship, please.
Yep, I like that. And Yellowtine, I believe no
No,
tax on
the gentleman
pensions
about
and retirement would be fine because they're making money on the money they're holding for our
who?
retirement. They're already making money on it. So why are we taxed
You're gonna
on
have to
money
talk
when they
louder,
made
sir.
interest on our money already? We shouldn't be taxed on that. That's what I believe. Bodacious, you on one today, man. I like what you got to say today. You've been on one today.
Elon
I'm liking your
is a very
comments, man.
different
You
kind of a
get
guy.
it. You get it.
He's a very big believer in the country, but he's very worried about the country. He's very worried about the country. And I don't know if it's good for him politically to have supported me, although I think we have a vast majority of this country does support me. But Elon, more than almost anybody I know, I mean, he loves this country. He loves the concept of the country. But like me, he says this country is in big trouble. It's in tremendous danger. Okay, please.
Yep. If immigration isn't stopped, look at what's going on in the UK. Look on
I
Instagram.
like this guy.
They're showing what's going on in
I
the
like
UK.
him.
I like Bodacious too. See, Trump even like you, man. Trump leaving.
Yeah.
See, you
The
said the
polls have
perfect time. You
suggested.
said, I
There are
like this
some
guy,
polls that say we're
Bodacious.
going
I
to win in
like
a
him.
landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Look at what's happened to energy. Look at what's happened not only to their cars, where gasoline's gone from
It's funny, Delta.
$1.87,
That's funny.
$1.87, and we had moments when it was below that, but it's gone from $1.87 to $5, $6, and
This is funny shit.
$7. And they take the strategic national reserves and they take it out, even though it's peanuts compared, it doesn't last long. But they're virtually empty now. We've never had it this low. And he's using that to keep the gasoline prices as low as possible. He's sucked all of the oil out, essentially the gasoline, to keep the price down a little bit, and it's had very little impact. But you know what? We have no strategic national reserves now. He's emptied it. It's almost empty.
I don't know how to
It's
do that.
never been this low. And I had it at a good level, and I would have had it more if the Democrats would have approved the deal. You know, I had a deal to buy it at $22 a barrel, and now it's going to be close to 100 pretty soon, my opinion.
Whoops.
And the
Hold up.
Democrats didn't want to do that, but we bought a lot anyway, and we had it pretty good. And what they've done to the national reserves, the strategic national reserves, is, as you know very well, because you cover it,
Man,
but what they've done is
They did
incredible.
something screwed.
They've just, for the sake of getting some votes,
there we go.
for the sake of having gasoline, you know, that's meant for wars. It's meant for like tragedy. It's not meant to keep a gasoline
Yep.
price down so that somebody can vote for
I watch
Biden,
Cass Jordan a
or in
lot.
this case,
A lot.
Kamala,
I watch
who, by
Cass
the way,
Jordan a
is
lot.
worse than Biden. And she's actually not as smart. Okay? She's actually not as smart. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, please.
Yeah, Cass Jordan just dropped a video today about the rise in theft in all the stores around the immigrate. They got 17 immigration shelters in New York, and all the stores around the immigration
So
shelters are getting
you could
robbed
do
all the
things
time.
that will be would supplement absolutely.
It's
And those
crazy,
things are pretty,
crazy.
open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote, and all I want to do is give everybody a vote. And the votes are taking place right now as we speak. Yeah, but it's a very there are many things on a humane basis
Abby,
that you can do outside of that, but you also have to give a vote, and the people are going to have to decide.
Trump's on mic
Okay,
drop.
yes, please.
Trump's on mic drop.
On what? No, I think she's actually not as smart as he is. I don't think he's very smart either, by the way. I'm not a big fan of his brain,
Oh yeah.
but I think that she's actually not as smart as he is.
She's not that smart. Arizona's Republican.
Well,
but
She's a woman.
The Democrats be lying
She
all the time out
represents
here.
certain groups of people.
We have no
But
idea how
I
Katie
will say
Hobbs ended up
this:
winning.
when
Let's just
people
say that.
find out
No
about
idea.
her, I think she'll be much less. I see it right now. I see her going way down to the polls now. Now that people are finding out that she destroyed San Francisco, she destroyed the state of California along with Governor Gavin Newsom. He's been a terrible governor, terrible. But they did it together. And she was early. I mean, she was the first of the prosecutors, really. You know, now you see Philadelphia, you see Los Angeles, you see New York, you see various people that are very bad. But she was the first of the bad prosecutors. She was early.
Yeah, she was not a good prosecutor. She was not. She was withholding evidence that she knew would get somebody, you know, show that they were innocent. She would withhold that evidence just to secure a conviction. That's not right, man. That's not right. To just hold people in jail just to say, hey, I secured a conviction, because the private prison population, the private prison industry gets paid for these people.
Do you hear her?
I don't hear her. He said, do you hear her? I don't hear. Nobody can hear.
A daily press briefing? Why would I do that? I would give you all the press briefings you want. Look what I'm doing here. But why would I do a daily press? You'd get tired of me very fast. No, but I will give you total access, and you'll have a lot of press briefings, and you'll have from me. Now, are you talking about from me or from a press
for Americans?
secretary?
Let Americans know.
Well, yeah, probably they'll do something. If it's not daily, it's going to be a lot. You'll have more than you want.
Kamala's going to throw a bunch of house parties. Meg Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, she going to have twerking parties and shit. Kamala's already planning on it. Backyard barbecues. Kamala's already planning on it. She's like, I ain't got nothing to say, but we can dance.
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too.
No.
You know, with Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it
Everybody
goes.
sees it.
But,
Everybody sees it, man.
I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it.
Oh,
They used to say, lock her up. And I'd say, just relax.
Yep, you could have, man.
We won the election. I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get.
Emails and everything, servers, private phones. She destroyed all evidence.
To take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States. And then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail. And I think, you know, the things as well as I do, there were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the MAGA, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is 75% of the country, far beyond the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Because we're a party of common sense. And I'm a person of common sense. I want to have low taxes. I want to have strong borders. I want to have a strong military so that China and Russia, look, they've allowed China and Russia to do the impossible combined.
Yep.
They're natural enemies. They always have been, because China needs more land and Russia has it. They've always been natural enemies. And because of Obama, it started with him. And then Biden, because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, they've now become one force. And then now they're adding Iran to it, and they're adding North Korea to it. Pretty powerful force. This is something that is unthinkable that they allowed to happen.
Yep, exactly. When America was in place, all those nations would not join. But now that America's running around with NATO and everybody else acting like the rest of the world don't matter, this whole one world government thing.
Oh, it's going to end. The honeymoon period's going to end. Look, she's got a little period. She's got a convention coming up. It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent because I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language, but
you want to say turn to shit. Say shit so bad.
She's incompetent. The reason she's not doing what I do and she's not doing what she should be doing, she won't even do interviews with friendly people.
Yeah.
Because she can't do better than Biden. Now, he had a reason for not doing well. And he was never, 25 years ago, the sharpest or brightest bulb in the ceiling. That I can tell you. Okay, he
Yeah.
wasn't, but he could do interviews at least. Not lately, he couldn't,
Nah.
perhaps, but she should be doing interviews. She doesn't want to do interviews. And the reason she doesn't is, number one, her policies are so bad. Just to answer your question, I think that it's not going to change because it's really ultimately not about her as much as about her policies. She wants
She has
open
no
borders.
policy. She has
She
no
wants to
policy.
defund the police. She wants to defund the police. She
Yep.
wants to take away your guns. Anybody that thinks they're not going to
To
come
make it a
after
one
your guns,
world
you know, when I
government.
was president,
This is one world
I
government.
totally protected the guns, and I think it's very important. And I know I take some heat sometimes for it, but you have to have safety. You have to have, when the bad guy walks in with a gun, you got to have some way of protecting yourself. And boy,
Yep.
that would be,
Have a
you would see
deterrent.
crime go up at levels that you've never seen.
Have a
When people
deterrent.
say on the side of the house, this house has guns, we will use the guns. They say, let's pass.
Yep.
We'll go
Yep.
someplace else.
Exactly.
You have to have them. And for 4 years, and you know, as you know, the NRA endorsed me very powerfully every time I ran. Every time. My sons are members, and I guess indirectly I'm a member too.
This country was
But
founded
they
on the
gave
right
me
to
the
defend
strongest of
ourselves
endorsements, and
against
that's against very
the
strong
King of
competition,
England.
people that felt the same way. No, you have to have that right. Our Second Amendment is a very important right,
Yep.
and it has to be protected.
We have to have a right
Okay,
to
how
defend
about you? Go ahead.
ourselves. Yeah. Because once you take away the right to defend yourself, a country or a government can have people come in and take over entire neighborhoods and
So
areas.
there are some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street that are saying
Look at
that
Venezuela.
if President Trump doesn't win, you're going to have a depression.
We already
I
got
happen to
one.
agree. I think that's true.
We already got
Because
one.
I know how bad these people are. You know, they like to say that they did this and that. You saw the 7 trillion that they said it was me for 7 trillion. It wasn't me.
35 trillion.
It was them.
35
They said
trillion.
that I had inflation. They took over 9% inflation. No, I had 1% inflation. I had actually no inflation because if you look at the categories, we had
It
just
didn't
about no
classify as
inflation. But I had a very minor, I actually had a positive inflation. It was a perfect number because you don't want zero. I mean, I'm not going to give you a whole
Positive
course of
inflation
economics,
called
but you don't
deflation.
want zero. 1%, 1.4% is great. You want a little bit because you don't want to have deflation.
Yeah,
Deflation
exactly.
is in many ways even worse.
Deflation is bad.
I had a perfect number right around the 1% number. It was perfect. And to show you, it stayed there for 2 years. And then he did all of the different borrowings that he did. And then he did so many things wrong. Every time he would do it, I'd say, big mistake. And don't forget, they sell hats and they sell stories. Trump was right about everything. I have been right about a lot. Yes, Maggie.
Well, you're right about a lot because you don't have to sell a fantasy if you just keep it real. You don't have to sell a fantasy. You don't have to sell a man in a dress being a woman. You don't have to sell a fantasy when you keep it real. When you have to sell a fantasy, you got to keep throwing it out there to keep people
Well, we
engaged.
had a commission like other people do, and it's always complicated and it's always controversial. And we had commissions that, and I think of respected people, you know, many of the people on the commission, and they would
Exactly,
recommend
Dems.
to me certain pardons for certain people. Some people were treated very harshly. A fantastic woman, as you know, she served 24 years for being on a phone call having to do with drugs. You know who I'm talking about. She was great. And she had another 24 years to go. And it was largely about marijuana, which in many cases is now
It's
legalized.
legal.
Okay?
It's legal.
But we had many very highly regarded people on a commission, and they'd recommend, and they'd put a reason why. Some people were, you know, served time, but they served a lot of time for something that today people wouldn't even serve time by.
Exactly. It was. This is why I did the video.
Well, for the most part, I think they did. I mean,
I'm gonna drop another video today.
They went through. I had a commission. It was a very important commission to me, and highly respected people. And frankly, they came up with some decisions that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, but I did it. But I let a lot of people out that had no representation. I went to people in jails, in prison that we respected. I said, how many of these people should be let out? We let out large groups of low-income people
Based
that
on
were serving like 40
public
years
defendants.
for
They
something
had
that
public
today you wouldn't
defendants.
even be put in jail
Public
for.
defenders, I mean. So he was letting out people who had public
We had
defenders and
very few
couldn't
people
afford an
let out,
attorney.
as I said, I really don't want to let people out where they had a lot of violence, where they had killing, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, we didn't do that. Yeah, please.
Yeah, but I'm gonna drop a video today about why And it's about Judge Gorsuch saying we got too many laws on the books, which makes every American commit at least one felony per day. I'm dropping that video later today for everybody talking about breaking laws. We all break laws every day. Trust me, especially me as a mechanic. And I'll tell you why.
Right. Well, look, the Federal Reserve is a very interesting thing, and it's sort of gotten it wrong a lot. And he's tending to be a little bit late on things. He gets a little bit too early and a little bit too late. And, you know, that's very largely it's a gut feeling. I believe it's really a gut feeling. And I used to have it out with him. I had it out with him a couple of times very strongly. I fought him very hard. And, you know, we get along fine. We get along fine. But I feel the president should have at least say in there. Yeah, I feel that strongly. I think that in my case, I made a lot of money. I was very successful. And I think I have a better instinct than, in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman. Yeah.
Help us make some money. That's what I'm trying to do, man. Help us make money now. That's the next plan of action. We want money too. I don't want no entitlements. Just give me the opportunity. Less taxes, lower interest, man. Give me the opportunity to
well,
go
as we legalize it, I start to agree a lot more because, you know, it's being legalized all over the country. Florida has something coming up. I'll be making a statement about that fairly soon. But as we legalize it throughout the country, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's awfully hard to have people all over the jails that are in jail right now for something that's legal.
Exactly.
So,
it makes no sense.
Obviously, there's a lot of sentiment to doing that. Yeah, please.
And Biden, his crackhead son out here smoking crack, and he ain't even serving no time for it. But we got people in jail for weed. And people are buying weed, smoking it right in front of cops. But these people sitting in jail for weed.
Well,
I'm like, it don't make no sense.
Ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her. And I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative.
Yeah.
But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful to both, really. Whether it's Indian or black, I think it's very disrespectful to both. To me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Please, red dress.
Man, Bodacious, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty much recovered. Yeah. I'm a fast healer.
Weed is grass. Grass
hell of
that
a
you
shot.
burn.
But I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much.
And weed is medicinal. The only reason why weed is illegal is because of Big Pharma. Big Pharma pressured politicians to keep weed illegal because they wanted to sell medication.
The lobe, as they call it.
You can't sell medication if weed is taking care of your problem. So they made this grass illegal.
On top. A little bit.
Weed is nothing but a bush. It's a bush, and you burn it, and it gets you high. It has THC in it, and it messes with the chemicals inside of your body, and it makes you feel kind of high. That's about it. Same as beer, alcohol, anything else. It's a chemical. It's all it is a chemical. And they made this chemical illegal. It'll take you
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country because we have no choice. It's not sustainable. And we're going to start with violent criminals, and we're going to start then with criminals. And our local police is going to work with us because they know everything about the people. They know their names. They know everything about them. They know their middle name. They know their numbers. And as you know, the other side is trying. You know, look, for years I wondered, why are they allowing these people to come in at levels like this? It was incredible. And I said two reasons.
Unsafe.
They're either really stupid, and I don't believe they're stupid, because anybody that can cheat in elections like they cheat is not stupid. Or in the alternative, they have bad motives or they hate our country. And I used to think they hate our country. But lately I've seen where they're trying to sign these people up to vote. And they have to stop. They cannot let illegal immigrants vote in this upcoming election.
That's election interference of a foreign country. That's a foreign country sending people over here to involve themselves in the United States election. We're a foreign country.
Right.
We wouldn't send 20 million Americans over to Italy to vote. We wouldn't send 20 million Americans over to China to vote. We wouldn't do that.
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security. We're not changing it. And I proved that over 4 years. And we're going to do it. It's very unfair to people. They spend their life and they're great citizens and they pay in. We're not going to charge tax to Social Security, the seniors. We're not going to do it. We're not going to charge. And also tax. I say the two things. We're going to have no tax on seniors Social Security, and we're
Good.
going to have no tax on tips. Very
Good.
simple.
Every ride
And
you do, make it
we
a
are a
$3
country
ride.
that has so many different ways
$3
to make
ride,
money.
$30 tip.
We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax.
Exactly. I like that. I agree with that. And make everybody, what you do with your private rides, make all your private rides cost $3. 100 miles, a $3 ride, but the tips got to
We
be
should not have sanctuary
$120.
cities. Sanctuary cities is a way of protecting criminals, and we should not have sanctuary
Facts.
cities.
Facts.
And if you go to California, and I know it well, I have property out there, great property. If you go to California and you ask the people of California, do they like the idea of sanctuary cities? They don't like it. They're tired of it.
Sick
They're
of
tired
it.
of crime.
But the
They're tired of
politicians are
what's
getting
happened
paid
to our
for it.
country. Our country's become a crime-ridden mess, and we're going to stop it on November 5th.
Look at
Thank you very
Cash
much,
Jordan's video he
everybody.
dropped
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
See you, prayers. We'll hit you up later. We can't hear these people anyways. All right. So that was Trump, man. He's out of here. Trump's out of here. Man, I'm glad you guys rock with me for that, man. Like I said, I wanted to get it from the get-go. I think I missed the first probably 10, 15 minutes, but we can always go back and look at the replay. But he made up a lot of good points. I like the fact that, you know, we all work on tips. A lot of us work on tips. And I'm glad that he stood in front of the cameras. Whoops. I'm glad he stood in front of the cameras and said everything that he said. Because as somebody who wants to lead this country, and you want to get people involved in your policies and what you want to do, say your policies. Don't attack Kamala and them. Forget them. Ain't nobody worried about her. 99% of Democrats that even registered to vote last time, 99% said they don't want to deal with her. 99% said we don't want her as our president. 99%. Now, how 4 years later, 99% are saying we want her as our president? That shit don't make no sense. Y'all all of a sudden got to change your heart. No, it's no change of heart. It's the fact that they just don't like him. Because thanks, Mr. John, thank my brother Alpha John, but he's telling actual policy that we can get down with. We working for tips. If we set all of our rates at $3, $4, whatever, and everything else above that was a tip, we wouldn't have to pay taxes on almost anything we got because he said no taxes on tips. What is the limit on a tip? There is no limit on a tip. You can get a $10,000 tip. We've seen waitresses get $10,000 tips, $1,000 tips, $100 tips. That's non-taxable. All that's non-taxable. If somebody gave you a $10,000 tip, there's no tax on that. Imagine all year getting tips all year and not having to worry about, as long as they write tip on the back end of it. Hey, I paid Jeff $3 for a ride. How much was the tip? $70 tip. Cool. I'm taxed on $3, but I'm not really taxed on the 3. The 3 is the gross. I still have to net that out against expenses. You're taxed on net income, not gross income. So anything that's a tip is declared a tip, and you declare it a tip and you classify it as a tip, you're not being taxed on it. That helps out hundreds of millions of Americans who work in industries that get paid by tips. That means our money won't be going to tax coffers. Right now, we're being taxed on so much, and where's our money going? To people who are illegally in our country so they can work for cheap over here. That's where it is. So them secret people got them Democrats and said or support Kamala or else. Exactly. And this is what I think about that. The whole thing about them not having a primary, to me, is almost like a blessing in disguise. I'm going to tell you why it's a blessing in disguise. You know, Fannie Willis is going in court right now for campaign violations. Once you go through campaign violations, you can go to prison, you can get fined, but you have to commit a crime in order to be investigated for a crime. You have to actually go past that point. You have to go through the actual activity of committing the crime. So in order for them to say Kamala Harris became president with no primary, you know, by abating the Constitution, by not having a primary, she has to actually be elected, or she has to become the nominee, like the official nominee. Once she commits that crime, now you could be charged with a crime. It's a blessing in disguise. I think everybody's like, yeah, let Kamala go. Because if the federal government, the Supreme Court, everybody interprets what she did, it don't care about the average American says. The average American's an average American. You get up, go to work, check your mailbox, scoop dog poop, whatever. But the Supreme Court will have to decide if they violated campaign law by not holding a primary or a caucus, but throwing her in place like a dictator, drawing down power. Thank you. Time to wake up, my man. Get your money. Jeff Watts for president 2024. And see, that's why I believe, man, I believe he's gonna, the Supreme Court justices, FBI, there's going to be investigation, Justice Department, everything. They're going to investigate that campaign. And when they do, and they find that she did violate campaign law and the Democratic Party violated campaign law, just like when they violate, campaign funding and campaign financing. When you violate that, when you actually commit that crime, it has to be investigated. I hope she becomes the candidate. I hope she gets voted, not voted in, but I hope they vote on her. And if Trump wins, he now has a choice to go through and investigate them for Democratic campaign violations based on election law. Everybody want to say, oh, yeah, well, Biden can pass power. A president can only pass power down if a president is incapacitated or dies. Thing is, she could become president right now, but Biden would have to step down out of his presidential role in order for her to become president right now. He never stepped out of his presidential role. He just says, I'm not running for president next time. That's all he said. I'm not running for president. There's no law against him saying I'm not running for president. There's no law against that. He could say that. But if he says, I can't be the president right now, I just don't have the mind for it, that makes Kamala Harris the president. He's incapacitated. He has to either be incapacitated or die. That's election law. That's in the Constitution. You can't make that up. But for him to say, I'm not running for election, so all the money you guys donated to my election campaign and all you guys gave me money for my election campaign, I'm going to actually give it to Kamala Harris because we're going to let her be the nominee. You have to let the American public choose who they want as their nominee. That's what you have a primary for. That's what you have a caucus for. Anybody who knows politics knows that. A lot of people that they're fresh into politics, they're just learning about it because a lot of people were out of politics until Obama became president. If anybody knows, there's a guy named Scott Narter. Look up Scott Narter, Narter. He was with the Independent American Party. That was in Las Vegas in 2008. Me and Scott Narter sat in his living room in 2008, the Independent American Party, the IAP. I sat in his house in Las Vegas and we came up with a campaign. He wanted me to run on the IAP ticket. In 2008, he wanted me to run on the IAP ticket. I didn't run on the IAP ticket. Scott Narter ran on the ticket. Scott Narter, the guys whose living room I was sitting in, he became the candidate for the IAP in Las Vegas. He became the IAP candidate. Look him up, Scott Narter. I haven't talked to that guy since 2008, 2009. I met him. He was a great guy. And we talked on the phone millions of times back in the day. I lived on Doubleday down in South Las Vegas. I think he was over in more Western Las Vegas because I think I can remember where his house was and everything. But I was supposed to run as a candidate for the IAP. We know how election laws work. We know how campaigns work. I've been involved in politics for a long time. I don't tell people that shit because people feel some kind of fickle ass way when we say we want to help our communities out and we're willing to set policy and follow policy and come up with laws that help us out. People start feeling weird and shit. If you say, yeah, I'm involved in politics. Oh, really? Well, what are you, a Republican or a Democrat? Motherfucker, I'm a helper. So what? I'm a helper. This is what I do. I try to help people. Well, how do you help them? Do you help them trying to be a Republican or a Democrat? This is how stupid people are. They don't even listen for policy. They just want to hear you say, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And that's how they base their interpretation of who you are and what you do. So I don't really tell people how involved in politics I am, but trust me, look up Scott Narter. That's my guy right there. He was going to actually have me run on the IAP ticket with him. But he decided to run on the IAP ticket alone, and he got elected. He actually got elected, and I was always proud of him for that shit. But yeah, what is it? Hopefully, Trump investigators Ray and Mayorkas for perjury regarding lying about the January 6th. They both said they don't know if any agents were there and participated. Oh yeah, John Boy. A lot of people are realizing what really happened that day. It was, and especially after this last assassination attempt, they know something. Even with that, the shooter's phone going to and from different FBI buildings in the past, they know the FBI is notorious for embedding agents in order to paint a picture. It's like a false flag. They'll throw a false flag in the mix real quick. That's not something I just made up. Look in history. The FBI is notorious for throwing false flags and things to make people think a certain way, just so sentiment can go the other way. So just like when you see these patriotic Americans marching around with flags and marching around with the Confederate flag and America, America, but they all got their face covered. They all got masks on. They all wearing sunglasses, masks, hats, hoodies and shit. Like they don't want to show their face, but they so proud of America. We gonna march and stand for America. We gonna march. We proud of this, but they always covering their face up. One time they uncovered One of the dude's face, he hurried him, put his jacket over his face and was running. They says, dude, these guys are all feds, man. They're all federal agents. All these guys are federal agents. He was trying to cover his face and run because he didn't want nobody to see him. Everybody knows what's going on. Ain't nobody stupid. Ain't nobody stupid. The people that are stupid, well, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. That's the government, man. The government is legal. The government would never do something illegal. The government's legal. Okay. Then you follow that shit. And then when it comes down that, yeah, you did get played, you got scanned. Well, it's because they had to. It's because they had to. Like, okay, whatever, man. Yeah, Biden didn't want that legacy, so there should have been a primary. Exactly, Mr. Hayes. And that's just election law. And when you go around election law, when you abate election law, kind of like what Fannie Willis did, that's how you end up being investigated in court and potentially going to prison for something that you did during an election campaign that you shouldn't have did. And the same thing is going to happen with this Democratic primary. Like I'm saying, let them run it this way. Let them run. At first, I was mad. I was like, no, man, she shouldn't be. And I said, no. This is the quickest way to get investigated by the Justice Department, the FBI, Congress. This is the quickest way to get investigated. What is Fauci and all of them going through right now? Investigations. Fauci and all of these scientists and doctors are going through investigations right now. They will be held liable for a lot. They may serve time. But we got to get to the point where in order to stop people from doing things like this, we've got to get them to serve time. Let them commit their little crimes. Let them commit them, because it's not a crime until you actually commit it. You can say what you want to do. You can lead in the way you want to do, but you actually have to do it. Once you do it, now that makes it a crime. Let Kamala Harris be officially nominated. Let her actually become the president or VP or let them campaign on that ticket. Guess what? It's all being logged. The FBI, do you know how long it took them to get RICO charges on some of these rappers? Do you know how long it took them? Long time. It's not an overnight process. You got to log charges. You got to get, just like she's trying to deny that she was the border czar, but yet Democrats were calling her that. Mass media was calling her that. She was eating alive. She was talking about the border. She was saying this and that. And all of a sudden, she wasn't. I was never the border czar. And people are having a hard time proving it, other than everybody saying it, even including her saying it, even including Biden saying, well, I nominated her for the border because she's the most qualified person. Because once you assume a role, not just saying it, once you assume it and you do it, you're locked in, you're solidified. It takes a long time to get RICO charges on people because they got to really, you can't just rap about it. I'm finna go kill them all. I'm finna send my crew down and kill them all. You got to actually let them do it. Let them do it. Now you got RICO charges now. But that's the thing. You got to let a criminal do crime. You can't just let somebody say what they're going to do. Let them do it. Let Kamala, let the Democrats, let all of them do it. Get everybody who's involved in it. Everybody's in this collusion. And you can be conspiracists. You can be what do they call it? An accomplice. You can be an accomplice to conspiracy. You can be, get involved with it. I mean, there's so much you can do. And for the people that's all involved, especially the donors that are involved that know what's going on. Oh, this is going to be real good. It's going to get deep. It's going to get deep. A lot of people are going to be investigated. Yeah, exactly. As it never interrupt your enemy when they fucking up. And that's why so many get RICO charges. They sitting around rapping about it, talking about it, and the FBI just sitting back collecting evidence. Months, years, collecting evidence, wrapping up everybody in it. Next thing you know, you got 19 people going to prison for the rest of their life. You're like, how the hell you let it get to the point where it's 19? We just want to see how far this was spiderweb. We want to see who was all involved in it. Sometimes crime takes a while to develop. The Democrats, like I said, this whole thing with this Act Blue, this entire thing with Act Blue right now, with all these donations, where one person who's a retiree sitting in a trailer somehow donated $873,000 over the past 7 years. They're like, I never donated $873,000. I'm living in a trailer. Well, it says at Act Blue, you donated this much money to Act Blue. I never donated to Act Blue. What are you talking? They're uncovering all of this lies. They know this stuff exists. All these FBI, everybody's sitting around just waiting, seeing how far are we going to let this go before we start charging people? Who's all involved? Sometimes you got to let crime happen. You got to let it happen. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me see something. Let me see. There was something that I was looking at. Let me see. It was watch later. I think it was my watch later list. Oh, yeah. This is good. This is good. I don't know if I want to see this right here. That was massive fraud to multi-million Democratic fundraising. Oh, wait a minute. I think this was it right here. I'm trying to see something real quick. No. Let me see something. This.
Harris is a deeply unpopular person. Kamala Harris is the most unliked vice president in history. That's lower than Dick Cheney. She has a lower approval rating than Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney shoots people in the face. This is how horribly unpopular
Benny is hilarious. Benny is hilarious.
When Kamala Harris was illegally installed after the donor class of the Democrat Party shoved Joe Biden into a trash compactor, and an illegitimate candidate claims that she raised $50 million in 24 hours, I said, that sounds wrong. It sounds illegal. And we reported on this post, for instance, but there's many of these.
Listen to this.
Great account.
Benny's good. Benny's
saying, wait a second. Here's some lady who's on Social Security. She's 80 years old, and she's donated nearly $1 million to Democrats in spite of the fact that she lives inside of some dumpy apartment paying $2,000 a month. How the hell is that possible? This person's name is Carrie Alberti. Another ghost donor problem.
They're exposing all the Democrat donors.
Spent 22,000 transactions online. The donor probably donated one time, one thing once, and then they had identity theft, and then they've shoved donations through this person's identity, right?
This is what the Democrats are doing to get money to Kamala.
This is a massive problem. This is, of course, massive fraud. And this happens every single election cycle. Where the hell are the Republican attorney generals? This is the point of you people. This is how Democrats commit fraud. Maybe one granny does donate one time to Democrats. They rip all of her information, and then probably foreign nations, actually, like China, or maybe billionaires abroad, like a George Soros, use these individual donors to shove money into Democrat campaigns because there's limits on
nobody
these things,
investigates
right?
it. Nobody
so if you have $1 billion and you wish to donate to all these candidates, you can't donate $1 billion. You have to donate through individuals because there are individual limits, there are corporate limits, there are campaign limits. And so you max out those limits by stealing millions of people's identities and shoving your billions of dollars through them. This is literally the biggest fraud in American politics.
Yep.
Finally, Republicans who are elected to do these kind of things have some balls in their shorts and are saying, yeah, we're going to do something about it. Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares vows to investigate Democrat donations, Act Blue fraud allegations.
Act Blue. Act Blue.
Good.
Act
Virginia
Blue.
Attorney General has vowed to look at these allegations and is opening an investigation. He posted a response to Charlie Kirk. What did Charlie say? Charlie said that it's trivially easy to find massive repeated donations to Act Blue with stolen identities, quite possibly stolen credit cards. For example, one person in Virginia has been named in 22,000 separate donations since 2019. Act Blue raises from all 50 states. We have 50 state AGs. When will one of them take action? This is exactly right.
So I'm going to pause that. But this is what I was saying. A lot of people who are not involved in politics don't understand how this works. They only got involved in politics when Obama took office. And they don't really understand election law, campaign law, funding, financing. They don't understand. They believe in CNN. If CNN tells them to wear 2 masks, one on the back of their head, one on the front of their head, so COVID can't get through their neck, they'll wear a mask across the back of their neck. I can't get sick through the back of my neck now. I got a mask on the back of my neck. I watch CNN. That's kind of how these people think. When you start digging into the truth of what's happening behind everything, when you start seeing Act Blue, a lot of people out there seeing, once these crimes are committed and investigations start going, you're going to start seeing a bunch of chips fall. BLM was investigated. Everybody's like, oh, BLM's great. BLM's amazing. BLM was investigated for fund violation and misappropriations. Once that starts happening, just like Cory Bush, an example, donating millions to her husband so he can secure. How many people pay their husbands to secure them $1 million? Hey, I'm going to pay you $1 million to be my security husband. But yet you believe in defunding the police. That's Cory Bush in St. Louis right now. That's Cory Bush. That's why she's out of there. She was making no sense. But Act Blue, this is why I try to show this on my channel to a lot of people, because I'm cool with Democrats. I'm cool with Republicans. But there's a lot of Democrats that don't even know this is even happening. They have no idea who Act Blue is. But I'm a Democrat. I love Democrats. I'm a Democrat till I die. You know who Act Blue is? No. Well, do you know who your candidate is running? Yeah, my candidate is Biden. My candidate is Clinton. My candidate is Kamala Harris. Well, Act Blue is a corporation who's funding all of the campaign literature and everything, but yet they're stealing money. It's illegal how you even know Kamala exists, because all the stolen money, all the stolen donations are funding these campaigns. Well, I don't know nothing about that, because they don't know much about politics. These people are, I call them mainstream media politic people. Whatever they see on TV, they repeat. If the mainstream media says Trump racist, Trump is racist. Where you hear that from? Well, I heard it on CNN. He's racist. They said it on CNN, so I believe it. But if you say, hey, do you know Act Blue is actually, funneling money illegally to the Democratic campaigns all over they're in each 50 states, and all the AGs are going to have to investigate them because they're stealing money from people like, they're saying that people like me donated $800,000 because they just stole my identity and used my name, and there's fake funders using my name. I ain't never heard none like that, because they're not really real. These people are not true political people. They watch CNN. That's where they get their political information from. So it was fine when you were saying fuck every other word that comes out of your mouth, which I don't hear anymore. Being a Republican was fine. I can't stand the Democrats anyways, but Trump fan, sad. It was fine when you're saying fuck every other word when it comes out of your mouth, which I don't mind hearing. Being a Republican was fine, which I don't stand. But Trump fan, sad. Hey, that's how life is, brother. Sometimes you got to be sad about just shit you don't agree with. You can be sad. I'm happy as hell, man. Today's going to be a great day. You got a sad ass day because I exist. So fuck you. That's what I can say to you. Fuck you. If you sad because I exist, fuck you. Like shit, I keep it 100. It was like, I'm having a great day. We got great people in the chat. We're having a great live stream. You sad? That's your fucking problem, not mine. Exactly. But I wanted to show people, this Benny clip. I got other clips that I want to show too, but I'm going to save them for another live stream. Today I had to do this live because I knew Trump was getting on. I was like, oh shit, let me hear him show this. We're going to document this history. I like to document things in history on this channel just because once we have a good catalog, people can go back and research stuff. They're erasing history. Let me show you how they're erasing history. Hold up for a second. Let me go back real quick. I'm going to show you how these guys are erasing history. This is how they're erasing history right here.
What are your first impressions?
Let's see something.
To be faked for a long time. He was promoted to sergeant major.
This is how they're erasing history.
To stay
this is how they're erasing history.
You have to complete certain training. You have to complete the Sergeant Major's Academy, which he never did. So he was subsequently demoted to master.
This is about Tim Waltz. This is about Tim Waltz and how he lied about his military experience. Listen to this.
Sergeant before he retired.
He said we shouldn't allow weapons that I used in war to be on America's streets. Well, I wonder, Tim Waltz, when were you ever in war? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone?
Tim Walz's stolen valor problem continues to get worse and worse by the day. We have this new clip that is out where he actually is saying that he handled weapons of war in war. I carried them in war is the specific language that he uses, and it turns out he never did that. So we'll play this video clip, and it comes from Kamala HQ herself. She's sharing this all over the place, and it's just not good for him. Bunch of clips here. JD Vance also comes out at the end of this and obliterates him, saying that he's mocking his credentials at Yale and these other things. But he actually went to Iraq, and it's a beautiful thing. But they're also trying to clean this up, and it's pretty disgusting. So we have this from Bloomberg, which you'll see is changing an old fake story where Walz says he served in Iraq. They're just changing it, and they're switching it over to Italy, going back in time and changing it and not updating the editor's note to confirm that, right? And for this entire time, he says he returned from serving in Iraq. He didn't. He served in Italy. And so they're changing the whole thing.
It's guy, man.
Rewriting history because they're little communists.
See,
but here is the clip.
I mean.
This is what he said. It's getting worse and worse. Just every single clip's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? How did they not vet this dude? But here it is. Tim Walz saying, I carried weapons in war. No, you didn't. You were in Italy.
Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army, and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Those weapons of war that I carried in war.
Now, the guy's lying. He never went to war. He bailed When it was time to go to war, he said, I don't want to go to war. I want to do something else in my life. Now, he went through the training, went through the boot camp, didn't go through major training, didn't go through all of this. And they're changing all of the stuff they're finding on the internet about him. The internet is actually changing it. This is how they're changing it, like this. Stuff like this. Like if you go Google and stuff and look it up on internet, and instead of saying like Iraq, it's saying stuff like Italy, the exact same stuff. The internet is going through and changing it. Years ago, when I had Facebook, I told everybody, make sure you buy books. If you rely on all your information to come off the internet, it could change from day to day. I said, do screenshots and buy books. I said that on Facebook years ago. Do screenshots, buy books. This is proof of what I was saying. They're going through scrubbing everything they can find about Tim Walz that didn't matter until he became the VP nominee. When he became the VP nominee, web crawlers, they're paying people major money to go find anything they can find on the internet about him, scrub it, make it look like, line it up right, change it. Now, for anybody who had screenshots of it, guess what? They got proof that it was changed. And people, when you say, well, why was it changed? The fact that he's going around lying, saying he was in combat, the fact that he was saying he was a major when he wasn't a major because he never completed the major training and everything. Man, it is crazy how the moment somebody comes in the spotlight, they start scrubbing everything about their lives to make them look crispy clean, like they are a true leader. This dude had a chance to lead. He had a chance to lead, and he chose, I don't want to lead you guys. People that were your brothers in combat, your brothers in arms. You went through training with them. You went through everything with them. And all of a sudden, when it comes time to go to battle, you said, hey, man, I hope you guys win. Hope you guys, I got to head back to America. I'm out of here. I'm going to run for Congress. I'm going to do something else with my life. But bro, you just went through training with us. You were shooting guns and everything with us. You was bear crawling through mud and everything, barbed wire and shit. You ain't ready for war? No, I'm not going to do this with y'all, man. I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm going to head out, man. I'm going to head on out. But he's going around doing all these press conferences in his whole life telling people, oh, I was in war. I had to fight in war. I had military weapons. I was in war. This dude never stepped a foot on a battlefield, but he's carried himself for years since getting out of the military, for years telling the same lie to all of these people to pump himself up. And that's why so many clips are out saying it's stolen valor. He's lying about his military experience, lying about anybody else lied about military experience. We be checking their ass right now. But the fact that he's standing next to a Indian American / black woman, nobody wants to check this dude, because if a check on him is a check against the black woman. Oh, we support the black woman enough to let this guy slide with his shit, man. It's like, no, we ain't gonna let him slide. This dude, he makes all these veterans out here look stupid now. Veterans that really went through it. Veterans that are homeless on the side of the road because they actually went to war and shit happened to them. And now they're homeless on the side of the road. So here comes Harris. Is she out there? Is Harris actually on one? Oh, let's see something. I'm gonna try to go find it real quick. Let's see if Kamala Harris is actually having is she having a live cast or something like that? No, is this an event right now? Is this in Detroit right now? Hold up for a second.
Down in front.
Is this the one you're talking about right here?
The redhead.
Okay.
All of our executive board and all of our membership.
The redhead.
Welcome, Vice President Kamala Harris.
The redhead.
Their microphone is stuck. Their microphones are too low.
Walz, to our house.
Everybody's having sound issues today. Everybody's having sound issues.
And we thank them for choosing one of their first visits with workers to be in the House of UAW.
This is a good live. We got Trump and them.
What's at stake in this election? It's very simple. Everything is at stake. It's about a choice.
Let me see if I can find a different one that's louder.
Or whether we go backwards. choice cannot be any clearer. On one side, we got the side are you on moment.
I'm gonna share this one
The choice
instead.
cannot be any clearer. On one side, we got the Harris Walz team.
Well, this one sounds at least a little louder.
Kamala Harris is one of us. Governor Tim Walz is one of us. You know, they're working class people. They have working class roots. They know struggle. They know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. You think about this. Vice President Harris talked yesterday about how she's had a first job at McDonald's.
I did too. Don't need to be
Governor
vice
Walz
president
been a school
material.
teacher. We've seen what this government, what the Republican Party in particular, has done to education in our lifetimes. You know, that's the difference. They've spent a career serving other people.
He was a teacher in China. He taught English in China.
Not forgetting where they come from. That's right. On the other side, we got the Trump-Vance, what I call the Trump-Vance disaster. We know who Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are. Their words and their actions and their body of work tell the entire story, and they tell everything we need to know. They spent their lives serving themselves.
Why is everybody got to read statements? You can't just talk like Trump.
And enriching themselves at the expense of the working class.
I mean, did Obama write these speeches for these people?
Donald Trump calls me stupid. And you know why? Because he thinks auto workers are stupid. But we're not stupid.
We just read what we think.
We don't fall for Trump's alternative facts, or what we all call lies. This isn't about opinions. This election's not about party politics. All we have to do is look at these candidates in their own words and actions. That's all the facts we need. And that paints a very clear picture of which side the candidates are on. You look at Trump. In the recession, he blamed auto workers for what was wrong with these companies. And we all know damn good well, it wasn't the auto workers to blame. It was banks that went out of control with a mortgage situation. And that threw our economy in chaos. It was not the workers.
It was homeowners.
In 15, he talked about doing a rotation of our jobs out of the Midwest, our good paying jobs, somewhere else where they pay less money. So we'd be begging for our jobs back for less.
You got the immigrant lady right there. Look at her look down. She looked down.
Plants were closing. GM was on strike for 40 days, and Donald Trump was missing in action. In the 2023 Big Three strike, in our stand-up strike, he was nowhere to be found except when he called one of his billionaire buddies and went to a business, a non-union business here in town, and paid people $20,000 to hold up signs saying auto workers for Trump. The man's a con man. And now you look at the body of work with Vice President Harris and Tim Walz. You know, Vice President Harris bet on the auto workers.
The immigrants, they're here. She's betting on these immigrants.
In the 2019 strike at GM, you know who was on the picket line with striking workers? Kamala Harris was. She stood shoulder to shoulder with our members. She helped, as vice president, create auto jobs in the United States of America, to bring work back here. But
when she brought the jobs back, she brought immigrants with
the
those
Lordstown
jobs.
assembly workers who were left behind by Donald Trump, Kamala Harris was part of the solution. They brought a battery plant to Lordstown, Ohio, and those workers that were left behind in Lordstown that were transferred all over the country, now they're returning back home to Lordstown because of her. She worked with us to save a community in Belvedere, Illinois that was written off for dead. You know, in the 2023 Big Three stand-up strike, you know where Governor Tim Walz was? He was standing on the picket line with striking workers too.
Well, he was vetoing rideshare bills.
You got two people up here that stood on the picket line with striking UAW members. So that's a place Donald Trump will never be.
Because nobody had to pick
Governor Walz is also a
Everybody was
proud
getting
union
paid.
member. He's a teacher.
in China. He teaches English in China. Come on, man. You don't teach Americans.
Anyone can be your friend when the sun's shining and things are going great. But you find out who your friends are when things get tough. And you know, when we look at tough times, when we've been in tough times, we see who chose to stand with us and who chose to sit on the sidelines and do nothing. You know, there's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that I love, you know, and it says, in the end, we won't remember the words of our enemies, but we will remember the silence of our friends. And UAW family, this is not a time to be silent. This is not a time to sit back and hope for the best. This is our generation's defining moment. Everything is at stake. Future generations are at stake here. Whenever we needed help, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz answered the call, and they picked a side.
He chose Uber over the drivers.
They chose to show up, and they chose to stand up. So now it's our turn to stand up, to speak up, and to show up for them.
Man.
You know, in the UAW, we moved mountains in the last year and a half.
Thanks,
And I got to tell you, when I got elected president a little over a year and a half ago, we had 90 days to prepare for Big Three bargaining. And we did, and in 90 days, we won. That's right. We went to organize Volkswagen in the South, a place people said we couldn't win. In 100 days, we filed for an election, and we won. And as of today, we've got 89 days. We've got 89 days to ensure that we put Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the White House. We won, and we're going to continue to win because we stand up together in solidarity. There's a reason UAW begins with the word united, because that's the key to winning.
United Nations
So
World Economic
UAW
Forum.
family, are you ready to stand up for the Harris-Walz ticket?
They saying UAW instead of USA. Why don't you just say USA? We're fighting for America.
Are you?
Come on, people.
Are you ready to speak up for the Harris-Walz ticket? And are you ready to show up for the Harris-Walz ticket? I know you are. So UAW family, it's time to go to work. And it is my ultimate honor to introduce Governor Tim Walz.
If Kamala Harris wins and the UAW gets to use immigrants, this guy's going to get paid a big bonus.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. The American worker has no greater friend than you and your members. Thank you for what you do every single day.
Now watch when they all get replaced
And
by
his
immigrants
sisters
in a
and
year.
brothers here in this spot as a union member, thank you for the privilege. This is holy ground for unions, Local 900, and to be here and know for any union member understands what this place stands for and what it means. And so thank you for having me here. And to each and every one of you, thank you for the privilege of walking that picket line with you last year. Thank you for allowing us to lift up our voices. And in Minnesota, the work that you did, it didn't just benefit UAW workers. It benefited all workers.
You didn't walk up to Uber drivers when they picketed.
So I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and couldn't be prouder to stand with UAW.
He didn't stand with Uber drivers when they was picketing, though. He stayed far away from them.
Think about this. 89 wake-ups. I've been saying this. 89 days. We can do anything for 89 days. Telling people sleep when you're dead. We got work to do. Right now, 89 days to make Kamala Harris the next president of the United States.
He even laughed about it. That shit was a joke, wasn't it? He laughed. He thought that shit was funny. He was serious when he said that shit.
Look. Yeah. Think about this leader that's very simple. She stands on the side of the American people and the American worker. She's the one who took on the predators, the fraudsters, the transnational gangs, and she's the one that stands up against the billionaires in the corporate greed that bring.
He says this same line every single speech. He says this exact same line.
Long record of delivering for union members, and organized labor. All right, everybody in this room knows, and I keep saying this.
Organized labor is Uber drivers.
The choir, but the choir needs to sing right now. The choir needs to sing. We know that unions built the middle class. The rest of America has to. You know who doesn't believe that? Donald Trump. He sees the world entirely differently. And it really starts with this. When I look at community and neighbors and unions and the word that Sean said, unity. This guy doesn't know the first thing about unity or service.
Ask him if he knows Tony
He's
West.
Too busy serving himself.
You know Tony West?
Again and again and again, you've seen it. He put himself above us. He weakened our country to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. That says nothing about how he dealt with his president. We lived through it. We lived through it. He froze in the face of COVID, and our neighbors died because of it. And by doing nothing about COVID, he drove this economy into the ground.
Oh, Lord, here we
go. And I want
go.
to be very clear about this, because there's a lot of lies that happen when they're here. Violent crime was up when Donald Trump was president. Without even counting his crimes, it was still up. It was still up. So this is very simple. You know it, and it's going to take a heck of a lot of hard work, but this election is a simple choice. What direction and what's our country going to look like? What direction are we going?
It's going to look like we're on vacation.
You know what? We've said it. Donald Trump's going to take it backwards. We aren't going back. We're not going back. It isn't happening. We're not going back. Look, and this thing of playing dumb while he sits on the planes with these billionaires and says I don't know anything about Project 2025. I just fly on the planes with them. You know what it's going to do? One of the goals of that, plain and simple, and they know this has been going on forever. Get rid of labor unions and get rid of the voices that we bring. They can do whatever the hell they want then. If Trump's returns, he's going to learn something from the last time. He didn't get the job done. This time, it will be far, far worse, and he will get the job done and make sure that we can't organize collectively to improve our lives. That's what it's coming.
Uber drivers.
So whether he cuts the middle class, makes it more difficult to own a home, whether he repeals the Affordable Care Act so you can't get health insurance, or the things that you know they talk about, gutting Social Security and Medicare.
He's not saying
you know
one
what? When you got
policy
$1 billion,
there.
you don't give a damn about your Social Security check. But if you're like my mom and you depend on the Social Security check as your sole income, it's pretty damn important.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it, and you've been hearing me say it. They will ban abortion across this country no matter what Congress says. Now, look, damn right it is. And I don't know why this is so simple or so difficult for these people to understand. You know how things work really well in life and really well with your neighbors and really well in communities? When you mind your own damn business, things work better. Stay out of our business. Stay out of our
And don't
business.
tell us to wear a mask.
He's not fighting for you. He doesn't know you. He doesn't care about your family. And his running mate is just as dangerous and backward as he is.
He's going to say something about Yale.
So look,
watch.
We know who they are. The choir's ready to sing. This campaign's about the future, your future. Vice President Harris sure knows that. She grew up in a middle-class family. She goes to work every day making sure families are on the front so that they can get ahead and they can get into the middle class. She believes in something
Immigrants.
so simple and so
Immigrants.
beautiful. And when we go to these rallies, I say it too. People drive, they sit in the sun, they get there, they stand next to their neighbor for one simple reason. And just like the vice president says, they believe in their hearts in the promise of America.
Border
They
czar.
believe it. They believe it. So, sisters and brothers in the UAW, how great is this going to be? Please join me in welcoming the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
He laughs every time he says that. I think they know this is a joke. He laughs every time he calls her president. He starts laughing every single time.
UAW. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, it's good to be in the House of Labor.
No questions.
It is
No
good to be in the
questions.
House of
No
Labor.
questions.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. Okay, so let me just say, first of all, can we hear it again for Tim Walz?
Nobody's asking questions. We're going to hear if they get
Isn't it
questions.
spectacular? You know, I have to tell people have been asking, well, what do you and Tim Walz have in common? I said, well, you know, a whole lot.
What are you and Tim Walz going to do for America?
You know, we grew up the same way. We grew up in a community of people, you know, I mean, he grew up in Nebraska, me, Oakland, California, seemingly worlds apart, but the same people raised us. Good people, hardworking people. People who had pride in their hard work. You know, people who had pride in knowing that we were a community of people who looked out for each other. You know, raised by a community of folks who understood that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down. It's based on who you lift up.
Amen.
Obama wrote all of this. Obama wrote all of this stuff for these people,
And, you know,
man.
there's some perversion that's happened in our country in the last several years, where there's a suggestion that somehow strength is about making people feel small, making people feel alone. But isn't that the very opposite of what we know unions know to be strength? It's about the collective. It's about understanding no one should ever be made to fight alone. That we are all in this together. You know why I fought my entire career for unions and labor? Because I understand the concept and the noble concept behind collective bargaining. And here it is. Here it is. Fairness.
Yeah.
Uber
Fairness.
ain't fair. Uber's not fair.
It's about saying, hey, in a negotiation, don't we all believe the outcome should be fair? I mean, who could disagree with that? The outcome should be fair.
You said fair like
It should
5
be
times in the
fair.
past 5 sentences.
Right?
Fair. Fairness, fair.
But when you're talking about the individual and a big company, and you're requiring that one individual to negotiate against a big company, how's that outcome going to be fair?
Ask the dude
So
behind you,
collective
Tim Walz.
bargaining is about saying, let the collective come together around a common experience,
Drivers, Uber.
which at its core is about dignity and the dignity of labor.
That's right.
Paying $3 for
And
rides.
then let the people come together to negotiate so you make the balance. And then the outcome will be fair.
Tim will just veto it like
And
he
isn't
did.
that what we're talking about in this here election?
They vetoed
We're
the
saying
Uber
we
bill
just want fairness. We want dignity for all people.
and veto it
We
later.
want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do.
She's preaching to immigrants right now. That's what she's doing. She's preaching to immigrants right
Our
now.
campaign is about saying we trust the people.
Yeah.
We see the people. We know the people. You know, one of the things I love about our country, we are a nation of people who believe in those ideals that were foundational to what made us so special as a nation. We believe in those ideals. And the sisters and brothers of labor have always fought for those ideals.
Ideals.
Always fought for those ideals. And we know we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die trying because we love our country and we believe in who we are. And that's what our campaign is about. We love our country. We believe in our country. We believe
Now
in
she's
each
gonna say
other.
country like 50 times
We
now.
believe in the collective. We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us, trying to separate us, trying to pull us apart. That's not where the strength lies. And there's that. And so I say to all the members of UAW, and Sean Fain is the first who I talked to about this, I am so deeply honored as a lifelong supporter of union labor for Tim and I to have the endorsement of UAW. So deeply honored. Because you walk your walk. You walk your walk. And what we know, like we have talked about, we got 89 days to get this done. You know, the one thing about all of us is we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work.
Ask a Uber driver who you vetoed.
The thing that we like about hard work is we have fun doing hard work.
Yeah, we got fun getting our chips stolen, driving for
Because
free.
we know what we stand for. And that's a big part of this campaign. You know, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for.
That's why we fight these apps every day. We fight
We
them.
know what we stand
It's
for.
your
And
brother.
we stand for the people. And we stand for the dignity of work. And we stand for freedom. We stand for justice. We stand for equality.
We go with the equality.
And so we will fight for
DEI.
all of it. And the bottom line about UAW is that I also know, and I'll say to all the friends watching, look, even if you're not a member of a union, you better thank unions.
Well, why won't you let Uber form? Why won't you let drivers, every time drivers try to come together, they don't like it.
Thank unions for that 8-hour workday. You better thank unions for that vacation time.
12-hour workday doing Uber.
So I'm here to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the sisters and brothers of UAW for all you are and all we will do
No
over these next
questions
89
asked.
days.
No
God
questions
bless.
asked. No questions asked. I'm telling you, man, this lady will not mess with the media. No questions asked.
Right, there we go. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in Detroit, Michigan.
No
and of
questions
course,
asked.
Battleground state there, Michigan.
Stop sharing. This lady didn't ask they didn't ask her a single question. Trump was taking questions like, ask me whatever. Ask me. Give it to me. What you got? What you got? But see, the thing is, she's talking about thanks for 8-hour days. But her brother-in-law, Tony West, got drivers working 12-hour days. 12-hour days for less than minimum wage. We're paying for our own vehicles and our own cars. They will never walk in front of rideshare drivers because we gonna say something. We out here in these streets. Her brother-in-law, Tony West, is the one creating all the contracts, terms of services that we drive on. We drive on these terms of services that she's talking about. Why don't she go after Uber? Tim Waltz vetoed a bill that was going to help drivers, give them benefits, give them more pay so they can work shorter days. But instead, 12-hour days, 80-hour weeks, no benefits at all. That's what most of us get stuck with. And she's yeah, you should thank a union. They got to fight Massachusetts. They got to fight Seattle. We got to fight for everything we get. But yes, she talking about what you going to give us. We going to give y'all. You ain't giving nobody shit. We live it every day. We live it every day. Exactly. Man, she talks a lot, but says, man, the fact that we're drivers and we deal with her brother-in-law every day. We got to deal with deactivation, suspensions. We deal with this every day, trying to be hardworking Americans and make money, but yet we keep getting kicked off the apps all the time. I'm like, come on, man. This lady, that's why she didn't take no questions. They don't got nothing to say. They have nothing. Any policy that they could have been asked about, somebody could have asked them about it. Hey, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about all the influx of immigrants? She don't want to talk about that because then she got to talk to her brother, Tony West, who is here on behalf of Uber and behalf of Lyft. She got to talk to him. Hey, why are you going to talk about shutting the border? How are we going to get all this work? If you shut the border down, we don't get all these low-paid illegal immigrants in here. We don't get asylum seekers that we can pay pennies on a dollar and give no benefits to. If you shut the border, the people at the UAW is clapping right now. UAW has no idea. They're only protected by the union right now. They're only protected by the union right now. Rideshare drivers, we have no protections. So we got to sit and fight airport queues, 250 cars sitting in the queue, but it's only like 40 cars sitting in front of you. How you getting 250 cars out of 40 cars? Because they're allowing these immigrants to use multiple phones. They're selling accounts, renting accounts. These people are not vetted on the apps. They're coming over here running schemes and scams on everybody. And this is what's going to happen when she gets to be president. If she's going to come around and be like, oh, man, this is Jeff. I ain't never vote, but you got me wanting to register and vote for Trump. Man, dude, we only got one shot to get rid of these people, man. We got one shot to get this country back on track. But when you got somebody who's hugging every illegal immigrant, oh, welcome to America, you asylum seeker. Welcome to America, you know what? Everybody's not an asylum seeker. Some of them are just scammers and no schemes. They're getting in because they know, well, America's letting everybody in right now. For real, yeah. I got a record over here, man. I can't get nothing. I got a record over here. I can't get nothing, man. So what do? Let's go to America. They're going to give us some documents. We're going to get across the border. We can run things and scams in America to get money now. And she's allowing it. She's opening the door for that. Uber and Lyft. We are front lines. Drivers are front lines. We talk to riders every day. I can't believe I got an American driver. Holy shit. Where'd you come from? I've been getting like people that can't speak English for the past 3 days. Where'd you come from? This is what we deal with every day. A lot of people with office jobs, Americans with office jobs, sit in their office every day. They talk to the American office worker next to them every day. They don't see what we see in the streets, dealing with the general public all day, every day. She's talking about an 8-hour work day. We work in 12. Some people working more than 12 because you can use both apps. You can work up to 24 hours a day if you run 12 and 12 on these apps. She's not talking about that. She's talking to UAW people who have no idea what's coming down the pipe. As an Uber driver, as a rideshare driver, did we have any idea that it would be this many immigrants on these apps when we started driving Uber years ago? Nope, we didn't. We didn't. Say, Vanguard's don't hire you anymore if you're American. Oh, I know that, brother. I know that, brother. Because what they're doing is they're replacing. This is the replacement theory. Replacement theory and transfer of wealth. It's real. It's not fake. It's real. It's really happening in front of everybody. And the fact that we got to sit here and look at these UAW people clapping, and they have no idea what's coming down the pipe. They look at the people at Tyson Foods. How many people got laid off at Tyson Foods? How many people got laid off at the big trunking companies that's all over? How many people are getting laid off in restaurants, fired in restaurants, furniture companies? How many people are getting laid off and fired? And who are they being replaced by? Cheaper labor, because they can't get bottom line. They can't make money. You know, if the labor is too expensive, everybody's talking about the labor cost of Americans. Even the guy that I got on video from the WEF talking about American labor is too expensive. So we've got to outsource labor. We got to have more immigrants coming to America. He even said that right on record, right to people's face. We got to have more immigrants come in. This labor is too expensive. How do you think they're going to have the price of cars go down? The price of car go down when the price of human labor goes down. How is human labor going to go down? Asylum seekers. I mean, they landed right out in front of your face, and they putting the WEF and everybody else is putting it right in line of everybody, letting people know this is what our plans are: to replace expensive Americans, to get them to accept and tolerate lower wages, a lower lifestyle, lower pay, get them to accept it, or they're going to be on the street. They got a choice. Either you accept lower pay, or we grab some asylum seekers and let the asylum seeker do your job. So what's it going to be? And most Americans are like, dude, I can't pay my mortgage. Asylum seekers don't got to worry about mortgage because the government is paying for them to live somewhere. So they don't got to worry about more. They can take that low pay. We could do low pay. These UAW workers have no idea what's coming down the pipe. Those people are probably paid to be there anyway. Hey, if you come to Kamala's thing, we'll give you extra $50. You come to her little, press conference, we'll give you $50 on your check. Come on down. Okay. And this dude's like, hey, man, if Kamala wins, we're going to do just like we did Tim Walz. Uber came in, told Tim Walz, veto all the worker bills. Don't veto anything that benefits a worker. Tim Walz vetoed bills. Then he turned around and says, well, y'all got to come up with something better. I thought you was with workers. Tim Walz never protested with a single driver in his state, yet he's over there in UAW in Michigan. Dude, you're from Minnesota. You didn't even walk with the people in Minnesota when they were out in the streets, families out in the streets, protesting a low pay, protesting no benefits, protesting long work days. You didn't even walk in the streets with those people, but you sitting here with the UAW. Yeah, we're shoulder to shoulder with you guys. Where? You're from Minnesota. You had a chance to do that. And you didn't do it. So I'm sitting there like, man, these people are so full of it, man, so full of it. And why I say I get that all the time. Clean car, good smelling, speak motherfucking English. That's a problem. Yeah. Because like I said, America's going to feel like it's a vacation spot. Everybody here going to sound like they from Aruba. Like, motherfucker, can you speak English? No, can't nobody here speak English. You going to hit an airport and think you still on vacation. Be like, dude, are we still in fucking Tijuana? What the fuck? He was like, man, Alfonso, what's good? He said, did you listen to both candidates? Don't listen to the speaker and watch the annex. Listen to their speeches and then decide. Let their record speak for itself. Please vote. Oh, yeah. And see, that's the thing. Trump took questions. That's something Kamala Harris and this other guy, Waltz, their speeches are written, prepared. He's saying the same thing because I got his other speech too. I got some, like when I did that video the other day, I looked at one of his speeches and I took some clips out of it. He's saying the exact same thing in every speech he does. He's not changing up. His speeches are already done. He's not taking any questions. His speeches are pre-prepared. She won't take any questions. Everything's written by her through the Obamas. They're like, hey, we'll write something for you. We'll write something passionate and emotional for you. Obamas, they wrote stuff for the Clintons too. We'll write something for you. Because they think if we can engage people's emotions, get people scared of Trump, scared of what's going to happen, just make Trump look like the biggest boogeyman possible. Don't tell nobody how great we had it the years he was in. Say he did something at the end. Say he messed up with COVID. Say no. And when they started mentioning that COVID stuff, I started laughing. I started laughing at that COVID stuff because ain't nobody stupid. We were calling that shit when it was happening. We were calling it when it was happening. Nobody right now in 2024, today is August 8th. Happy birthday to my man Scott Paulson out there. 2024, August the 8th. Nobody on this soil can show me a video of millions of dead bodies laying around. Nobody can show me a video of them leaving the house and seeing bodies laying in the street. Nobody can show me a photograph. Nobody on this soil can show me all these dead bodies. Nobody, but they want you to believe what you don't even see. It was bodies everywhere, dead bodies everywhere. Show me a video. Well, we'll tell you where they were. We can't show you, but so it was like that. Like death didn't just strike you where you were. You had to go somewhere to die. It can just strike you in the spot in your car, strike you in your front yard, strike you in. No, you had to go somewhere to be declared dead. Then once you got there, we told you these people was dead. Man, you can sell these people a bridge. Man, I'm gonna sell you a bridge, man, in New York. Well, I'm gonna sell you a bridge in the middle of the desert. And I'm sitting there like, y'all really believe that this was so deadly? So many deaths with so many places, but you never saw a single dead body. Never one. They told you about it, but you never saw one. Just like me telling you it's storming outside. It's storming like crazy. And you look out and it's sunny as a motherfucker outside. You like, where? Bro, you missed it, man. You shut the windows, close the doors, don't even look outside. If you look outside, you're going to get wet. You're going to get struck by lightning if you look outside. But I'm telling you, it's storming outside. It's lightning. It's raining. Cats and dogs. It's flooding everywhere. You look out the window with sun, birds chirping and shit. But you going to tell me all these dead bodies was everywhere. Everybody was dying like crazy. And we like, have you seen a dead body? You ain't seen a dead homeless people? No. You ain't seen somebody just die, drop dead right there? No. I ain't laying in the floor in the store. Nah, never seen none of that. Never seen none of that. But you believe it when they tell you shit you don't even see. Then they go to a congressional hearing. What did all they say in a congressional hearing? Oh, well, I wasn't a part of that. I didn't email nobody that. And they start pulling up emails and everything. They started pulling up all this. Man, I'm telling y'all, don't ever bring up COVID around me because I'm going to make you look stupid. It was some obvious fuckery going on. Don't even bring that shit up around me because we called that shit what it was. You cannot tell me if you catch that shit, you only die in one place. And it's so deadly, but you only die in one place, which happens to be a hospital bed, which happens to have nobody around, which happens that you can use a laptop, but anybody that takes care of you in the hospital, they're still alive. Wait a minute. So everybody in the hospital was still alive, but everybody that went to the hospital died. That shit don't make no sense to me. But okay. If you want people to believe that shit, knock yourself out. I'll leave that shit alone. It's like, I just know I'm not messing with that. I'm not messing with it. And anybody that even talks about the stupidity about how it even looks and sounds automatically shadow banned on the internet. But yet, if you go and ask people if they got the shot or whatever, and if you ask them the reality of what happened to them afterwards, how they were completely normally healthy until they got it, like they don't know their own body. You don't think I know my own body? Living with my body for X amount of years, living with my body for this many years, knowing I'm completely healthy, this and that, but I end up putting something in my body and now I'm all fucked up. You don't think I know the difference? But they won't let those people tell their stories. They won't let them tell their stories of what they feel, what they see, what they know, what they are experiencing. They won't let them people tell their stories, but they gonna tell you it's dead bodies all over the place. There's dead bodies everywhere outside. Stay in the house, close your windows, hide your kids, hide your dogs. But yet, when it really happens to people, don't talk about that. But this is happening to me, man. I was completely healthy, 2 weeks ago. What the fuck is don't talk about that. Okay. Man, when was the last time you saw a funeral procession? I'm gonna tell you what happened, James. This is what they say. This is really what they say. You don't see funeral processions because they just burned all the bodies. Okay, so you burned all the evidence. You burned all the evidence. You burned everybody. We never saw huge like smoke in the sky. Where'd the smoke go? Wouldn't you see a lot of smoke? If you burning that many people, there would be a smell in the air. There would be smoke in the air. How did you burn that many bodies and we didn't even smell burning meat? We didn't even see smoke in the air. Like I said, I don't even mess with that shit because it's ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. For people to sit and believe that shit, I can't even have a barbecue. I can't burn a rack of ribs and motherfuckers in my neighborhood be like, damn, something smell good over the wall. But you burn millions of bodies and ain't nobody smells shit. Okay, I'll leave that alone. I'm not messing with that. It's like, yeah, okay. Man, see, nanotech and luminescent liquid in the shop. Man, like I said, we don't even mess with that shit. James said, I talk to so many people that have major issues after it. Man, same. Look up jab injuries Australia. Look up jab injuries worldwide. The same videos, actual videos of people living a healthy life, running track, having fun, this and that. Look at them now. Motherfucking legs look like arms. They sitting in goddamn wheelchairs and shit, neck smaller than my fucking arm and everything. What happened? I was totally fine. But they won't let them people talk about it. They are living it, experiencing it, witnessing it, but they can't say nothing about it. They can't open their mouths and say nothing about what's real. They have to keep playing the game. That it was more serious to catch something that they are now saying in congressional hearings that was like seasonal flu. They're saying that in congressional hearings. Even the scientists and doctors are saying, well, it wasn't what we thought it was. We kind of overshot the mark. It wasn't that serious. They're saying that in congressional hearings. You can find that shit all over the internet. But yet they don't let people talk about the reality they're currently living right now. If they speak about the reality they're currently living right now, they get shadow banned. They get blocked off the internet because the lie that they try to sell them was bullshit. The reality we actually see, like I said, this shit's all a simulation. This is la la land shit. This is all fake. It's all fake. They're having you live a false reality. They got you thinking, okay, X is Y, Y is Z. They don't even let you speak about reality, you're banned. Why? Because you're speaking about a reality we don't like, a narrative. And I just did, when I did the live stream the other day, and I recorded where in Congress, they were asking this guy, why are you guys shadow banning, the government shadow banning and blocking and censoring everybody on social media from telling the truth? He said, because we find it dangerous and against our narrative. What? The lady was like, what? Yeah, first he said, we don't do that. He said, we don't do that. Then he says, okay, we do it. But we only block and censor people who are against our narrative and information that we find dangerous. How is me telling my truth about my real life, my real situation dangerous? But yet you can sell people some bullshit and then come to Congress years later and say, okay, we overshot the mark. It wasn't as serious as we said it was. We kind of took measures that we shouldn't have took. We kind of went too far with it. That's what you're saying in Congress in 2024. We went too far with it. But to talk about a reality that's happening in 2024, I'm in a wheelchair now. I wasn't in a wheelchair before. I was healthy. I was an athlete. I got 4 kids. I can't work no more. You won't let nobody tell that real story right now. Because if they tell that real story, they're kicked off the internet. Their account is blocked and banned. They post all of a sudden only getting 1 like on it a day. When they post used to get like 40,000 likes, it's getting 1 like a day. You don't know what shadow ban looks like? Some people can't even find my channel sometimes. Somebody told me the other day, hey man, we can't even find your channel, Jeff. Of course you can't find my channel. Same shit's happening on Facebook. Of course you can't find my channel because I keep it 100. And when they start locking down channels and they start shadow banning you, you know you're telling a truth that they can't face. They're trying to sell you some shit. And that's why I tell people, share my videos if you want to. You can share them if you want to. But sharing my videos It might get me a couple of views here and there, but you might also risk your shit getting shadow banned, because when they see you sharing the truth, oh man, they see you sharing the truth. Yeah, they're gonna say, okay, these people, they not falling for the shit. They're not falling for the shit. They believe their eyes and their ears, not the words we're telling them. Man. So you have a point, and that's what they want you to say. Believe and not just show up, because then they win, just like fix the app, change the future. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And that's why they passed it. You cannot sue the manufacturers of the, yeah, exactly. They gave them all immunity. They gave them all immunity. They said, well, you can sue your government for giving it to you. You can sue your government, but you can't sue the manufacturers though. So you can sue the government. You can sue somebody for telling you to get it, but you can't sue the manufacturers though. That's how they said, you got to give us immunity. We have to have immunity from lawsuits. So there are lawsuits going on about it, but they're going to end up getting kicked back to the government, and the government's going to have to, like, settle for it, because the government's on the hook for it. Oh yeah, Facebook do it all the time. Facebook do it all the time, man. Fauci got over $400 million that man made. Over 400 million. So are you trying to tell me there's never COVID? Well, I'm gonna find something for you. Let me tell you. I'm glad you asked that question, Muchrock. I'm gonna show you something that I have, and you tell me if what I have is for real. You tell me if what I have is for real. I'm gonna go in here and find this, and you tell me. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see something. Wait a minute. Oh, let me see something. Okay, you tell me. I'm gonna share something with you. You tell me if this is real. You tell me.
This is an observation. It's not information, which means it can't be misinformation. It's literally an observation. You're watching Michael Spector, who's the new writer for the New Yorker.
Now you listen, Muchrock. Listen
Rick
to this.
Wright,
Listen to this. You listen.
Biomedical Advanced Research and Development, director, BARDA. He's the director of HHS, and also Anthony Fauci. And I think you know who that is. But watch this video. It's an observation. There's no such thing as a misobservation.
I did this before I got kicked off of Facebook.
Speaking at the Milk and Health Summit in October of 2019.
This is 2019.
About 5 months before the pandemic hit the USA. They're speaking before the pandemic. Listen to what they say. Once again, this is not information, so it can't be misinformation. This is an observation. That's all it is. Just observe.
I had to throw keywords in there.
Why don't we blow the system up? I mean, obviously, we can't just turn off the spigot on the system we have and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet. But there must be some way that we grow vaccines mostly in eggs, the way we did in 1947.
In order to make the transition,
this is Fauci
from
speaking,
getting out of the tried and true egg growing, which we know gives us results that can.
What he's talking about, what Fauci is talking about, is when he says egg growing, he means viral vector vaccines. The ones that we currently use now are viral vector vaccines, not mRNA. So he's talking about how do we get out of the phase of using viral vectors and getting people to trust a new technology of vaccine that they want to introduce to people. This is what he's talking about.
Be, beneficial. I mean, we've done well with that to something that has to be much better.
Has to be.
You have to prove that this works. And then you've got to go through all of the clinical trials, phase 1s, phase 2s, phase 3, and then show that this particular product is going to be good over a period of years. That alone, if it works perfectly, is going to take a decade.
There might be a need or even an urgent call for an entity of excitement out there that's completely disruptive, that's not beholden to bureaucratic strings and processes.
What he just said was there must be an entity, a one world government, like when they had the World Health, one government saying We'll take control of everything. You guys, we don't need bureaucracy. We want to take over, do what we say. That's the World Health Organization, WHO. That's who he's talking about.
It's going to take a decade.
There might be a need or even an urgent call for an entity of excitement out there that's completely disruptive, that's not beholden to bureaucratic strings and processes.
So we really do have a problem of how the world perceives influenza, and it's going to be very difficult to change that.
He said, this is a hard way to believe. Like when somebody asked me, Jeff, do you think COVID is real? He said, Fauci is saying, it's going to be hard to change the way the world believes in influenza. Influenza is the flu. For people who don't know, it's a long way of saying the flu. He's saying it's going to be hard to change people to stop saying flu, stop saying flu. We have to do something different to get people to stop saying flu and to call it something else. Here we go.
So we really do have a problem of how the world perceives influenza, and it's going to be very difficult to change that unless you do it from within and say, I don't care what your perception is, we're going to address the problem in a disruptive way and in an iterative way, because you do need both.
But it is not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that, beam it to another.
Let me stop before. He's saying it would not be too far out of the question to get a virus. This is before the pandemic. This video was done before the pandemic. He's saying it would not be too far-fetched to say we got a virus out of China. We got a virus out of China, and we're getting the RNA sequence. mRNA is modified RNA. He's saying we need to get the RNA sequence because they're talking about getting away from viral vectors and getting into RNA now. But he's saying it's going to be hard to do that unless we disrupt everything. We have to do it very disruptive. We've got to have one place, the WHO, come in, disrupt everything. We take the RNA sequences from a virus that we took out of China. Remember, this is all before the pandemic, not after the pandemic. This is them setting it up right on stage.
But it is not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that, beam it to a number of regional centers, if not local, if not even in your home at some point, and print those vaccines on a patch and self-administer.
You got that, right?
See,
what they're saying is that the old way of doing vaccines, growing them in eggs, is no longer what they want to do. They want to do something new that they believe would be better. So what they decided to do was use mRNA technology to now start creating vaccines with that technology. No more growing in eggs, no more smallpox, chickenpox, the way we used to do those vaccines. This is something new and it's untested. They don't know yet, but they're saying if it happens to be good enough and it happens to work, it'll take us about 10 years to figure it out. About 10 years to figure. It's 2021 right now. They're saying it's going to take us about 10 years to figure this out. Like I said, it's just an observation of what they said. It's not information from me, so it can't be misinformation from me. It's an observation that I made from watching that video, and I hope you made some observations as well. Please share this video of Dr. Fauci, Rick Bright, and Michael Spector, just so we can observe what they're saying. This is not information. It's an observation. Share it so we can all observe at what they said in October of 2019, about 5 months before the pandemic hit the USA. Thank you.
Exactly. And that was a video I dropped a long time ago. I dropped that a long time ago on my channel. Like a lot of people don't get it, man. I've been doing this shit for a long time. Y'all think, oh, well, you got a microphone. I just got this microphone not too long ago, but I've been doing this for a long time. So if anybody want to ask me, was COVID real? Oh, it was real. They made everybody call it that, not the flu. They just told you we need to make people stop thinking of influenza in the way that they think of it and make them call it something different. I think they succeeded in that. They had everybody, oh, it's not the flu though. But in the 2024 congressional hearings, what did all the doctors and scientists say this year in 2024? They said it was no different than the seasonal flu. They said that in 2024. So in 2019, they said we need to make people change from calling it that to call it something different. C-19 is what it was called for years. Now they're saying it was actually the same. It wasn't what we thought it was. This was all a setup. And this is stuff that I can't make up. I didn't video none of this. These are all videos that I found on the internet, things that I scrubbed down as I was doing my research. So you can't say I just found it or I just made it up. Jeff, you just made that up. No, trust me. I got more. I got way more. I'm going to see something. I'm going to see if I can find this in here. This right here is another. I'm going to see if I can do this one. Hold up. This is pretty good. I'm gonna show y'all this one too, and this will be the last one. Because I do want to end this live stream and get something going on today. But I'm gonna show you guys exactly this next video here. Hold up for a second. Let me go in here real quick. Bam, bam. What up, my man Logan? I'm gonna share this right here. Thanks to the power of the internet, I decided to do a little bit of research to show you how far we've come from what we were told. This is a long time ago.
Vaccine will be like a flu vaccine, meaning you'll have to get a new shot every year.
I'm not so sure it'll be every year, but I would be surprised if it gave lifelong immunity the way the measles vaccine does.
Let's get to the.
So he's saying that if you did that, if you just took it once, you would have lifelong immunity. This was all a test. If you took this, you would have lifelong immunity, just like the measles does. You'd only have to get one shot. You got lifelong immunity. This is all, like I said, this is these people talking. I didn't make up none of this. This is all stuff that I want to log for history, and I'll log this history on my channel for other people to go find out what we're doing.
Vaccine will be like a flu vaccine, meaning you'll have to get a new shot every year.
I'm not so sure it'll be every year, but I would be surprised if it gave lifelong immunity the way the measles vaccine does.
Let's get to the hope. The scientific advisor to Operation Warp Speed said this morning we could have true herd immunity take place somewhere in the month of May as the vaccine is distributed. Does America go back to life as normal in May?
This is them talking about herd immunity.
I don't think so, unless we do, and I believe you're referring to Monsef Salawi, who said that, and I totally agree with him. And if you get an overwhelming majority of the people vaccinated with a highly efficacious vaccine, we can reasonably quickly get to the herd immunity that would be a blanket of protection for the country. The herd immunity.
So what he's saying is that in order for us to get herd immunity, because people back then were saying, well, if you actually get the virus, you're not going to be protected. You've got to get this shot to have the true protection. Because if you just have the virus, you're still not protected. Your body can't generate antibodies for this new virus that just came out. And I'm like, well, that don't make sense, because herd immunity is when your body catches something and it develops T cells and B cells for it. That's what it means. I was telling people that years ago, and people was telling me, well, you're not a doctor. I'm like, you don't got to be. You just need common sense. You just got to be common sense. So when I was showing people this, saying they're trying to say the only way you can get herd immunity is if you take what we tell you to take. This was the sales pitch. This was the fear. If you don't take what we tell you to take, you're not going to get to where we tell you you're going. And I'm saying you don't need that shit. If you catch it, let your body fight for it. 2024, the congressional hearing is saying it was no different than a seasonal flu. They said that in 2024. This shit is all from 2020. This is all stuff that I put online back in 2020 that the internet, Facebook, YouTube, everybody, they shadow banned it so the word couldn't get out. This shit was all out there. I was just putting it out there.
That would be a blanket of protection for the country. To the herd immunity, that would be a blanket of protection. Once you start getting vaccine going, if you have good uptake, namely the overwhelming majority of people want to get vaccinated, you can expeditiously vaccinate people that by the time you get to the end of the second quarter of 2021, namely May, June, July, August, you very likely could have overwhelming majority of the people vaccinated, which means you'd have herd immunity. Means you'd have herd immunity that would allow you to safely get people.
I kept making sure people heard that word, herd immunity.
To safely get people back to the kinds of works that would otherwise
I would always make him repeat herd immunity, because a lot of people were saying you can't get herd immunity. Herd immunity means you're immune. Look up the word immune in a dictionary. Immune means you're immune to it, which means you can't contract it. You're immune to it. That's what vaccines do. It makes you immune to it. So if you're saying herd immunity, it means you take this, you have herd immunity, you're immune to it, but you need the shot to be immune to it. And then they change the shot doesn't make you immune. It just fights symptoms. You got to follow that's why the name of this video is called Timeline of Deception, All Truths. That was the name I named that video. The timeline of deception, because they were deceiving people the whole time. If you get this, you're immune. You won't catch it again. If you get this, you don't have to take another shot. They were saying that over and over to get people to believe the shit they were saying, when I was saying completely opposite. I was like, well, if you catch it, then you're already immune to it. Probably. It's like, man, what the, it's natural biological science. 2024, they're agreeing with me now. And I was saying this in 2020, nobody was agreeing with me. 2024, everybody agrees with me now. I was telling the right information. They were giving misinformation. 2024, everybody's like, Jeff, you were right, but nobody's saying I was right. They know I was right without saying I was right. That's why I documented all this shit for history.
Be difficult as you get to the middle and end of the summer. So it's going to start in April and it's going to go right through the end of the second quarter of 2021.
One thing I will say, Dr. Azar, good for Dr. Fauci, making sure he got his answer in there. All too often, these hearings on Capitol Hill, they run out of time. People don't get to say what they have to say. So glad that he was able to respond to that one.
Wolf, it is really remarkable. The vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, as well as the Pfizer vaccine, is about 94 to 95% efficacious in preventing clinical disease and almost 100% efficacious in preventing serious disease. So the data are rock solid, and everything has been done properly with regard to safety, with regard to evaluating the safety and the efficacy, the approval process. It's been done very quickly, but the speed, Wolf, did not sacrifice the integrity of the science, nor did it sacrifice safety. The speed was a reflection of the extraordinary advances that were made in the science of the vaccine platform technology. So on the basis of all of that, I feel very confident about what we're doing. And that's the reason why I strongly recommend it to everybody and everyone that when the vaccine becomes available to them, to get vaccinated. That is how we're going to put this pandemic behind us. It means you'd have herd immunity.
Totally have convinced me, not that I had much doubt, but I see you getting that shot. I'm going to want to get that shot when it's my turn.
That would be relatively easy to prove. Well, what you do is you get an isolate of the virus, you culture it in a certain way so you can do some measurements, and then you get antibodies from people who are vaccinated with this particular vaccine and prove that those antibodies still neutralize this mutated virus. So this is something that
you see how he says still neutralize. When you neutralize something, it means you don't make it effective. When you neutralize it, it means you're wiping it out. It has no effect on you. They kept telling people this shit was going to neutralize the virus. You can't catch it. Once you get it, it's neutralized. You can't pass it to anybody. You can't transfer it. That's why I documented all of this stuff in history on my channel, because I know people were going to sit there and be like, man, everything he's saying right now came out to be false. Everything he's saying came out to be false. Everything everybody else was saying came out to be true. Everything he was saying came out to be false. Did it neutralize it? No, it didn't. Then they started saying, well, it's not going to really neutralize it. It just minimizes your symptoms. This is what they were saying. Man.
That we're working on now, and we'll be able to show that reasonably soon.
Because I asked the question because I get the flu shot every year, and every year it's a little bit different. They change it. They modify it almost every year. You got to get it every year. Is that what we're anticipating as far as the COVID vaccines are concerned?
Not necessarily, Wolf, because flu is a bad actor when it comes to drifting from season to season and sometimes shifting.
Listen to this part.
That isn't necessarily at all the characteristic of coronaviruses. Obviously, we're going to keep looking at this very carefully, but we don't anticipate that we're going to be in the same situation as we are consistently with flu.
I also spoke with. So what he was saying is that you're only gonna have to get one shot and that was it. That was the sales pitch. The sales pitch was, no, this ain't the flu. With the flu, you got to get it every year. Flu, you got to keep getting it updated with all the different strains that come out. The flu is different. That's what he kept selling people. The flu is different. It's a different strain. You got to keep getting different shots. But this is one strain. That's it. It's a done deal. We're over the hill. You're done. It was a bunch of bullshit. And we try to tell people that.
With Dr. Fauci about the effort to get a vaccine. He seemed optimistic that one would be on the market at the end of this year, the beginning of next year, but he had reservations about whether we'd be able to achieve the levels of immunity that we need. Let's take a listen. You know, vaccines have different levels of efficacy. If you get 2 doses of measles vaccine, you are almost 100% protected. But, you know, as you and I know, the flu vaccine, even on a well-matched year, is, 40 to 60% protective against, flu. Which do we think this is going to be? Is it going to be 100%? We are going to protect against this, or it might be something less than that. And if so, how much less?
Well, as you probably know the answer to your own question, Elizabeth, we don't know the answer to that right now. You've got to do the testing to find out.
And the people were the
I doubt
test.
seriously
This was the phase 3
that
trials.
any vaccine will ever be 100% protected. The best we've ever done is measles, which is 97 to 98% effective. That would be wonderful if we get there. I don't think we will. I would settle for 70, 75%.
But he was saying 99% earlier.
Because that would bring you to that level of would be herd immunity level.
So I'm glad you mentioned that number, because the CNN poll and other polls have shown that in this neighborhood, about a third of Americans are not going to get the vaccine. They say they're not going to get it, even if it's free and easy to get, or that they're very, very hesitant to get it. If only, say, 70, 75% of Americans are willing to get the vaccine, and it's only, say, I think you just said 70, 75% effective, is that going to get us to herd immunity?
Unlikely. And that's one of the reasons why we have to make sure we engage the community as we're doing now.
He was basically saying that nobody with natural immunity would contribute to herd immunity. They were saying there was no such thing as natural immunity. The only way you would develop immunity is by doing what they told you to do. If you didn't do what they told you to do, you would be calculated or deemed not immune because you caught it. And you have natural immunity, obviously, but they didn't consider you in the natural immunity herd until you got shot. Once you got the shot, now you were in our number now. It was all bullshit. It was all bullshit. Natural immunity, herd immunity is the immunity of the herd. It's not who's getting the shot.
To get community people to help us, for people to understand that we are doing everything we can to show that it's safe and that it's effective. And it's for the good of them as individuals and in society to take the vaccine. So we have a lot of work to do because, as you well know, we've spoken about this intensively in the past. There is a general anti-science, anti-authority, anti-vaccine feeling among some people in this country, an alarmingly large percentage of people, relatively speaking.
But they never talked about all the people that actually took it and either got injured or died. They kept pushing. This was on the news nonstop. That's why I had to do this for historic, content. I trapped this for historic content. They always had this on the news nonstop. This was on the news nonstop. Now you hear absolutely zero about it. If you mention that word, you get shadow banned. If you talk about that word, you get shadow banned. If you mention back, you get but this was on the media nonstop, 24/7. And now all of a sudden people want to pretend that this doesn't exist. What it is all these people got caught in their lies. They got caught misleading the public. They got caught being misinformation. I trapped all of this data for historical content because the future, especially when these vice presidents sitting around, oh yeah, Trump, he didn't do anything for COVID. He didn't do anything for COVID because it was all bullshit. We got it. We got documentation of it all. So don't give me that he didn't do nothing for what had to be done. You had to catch it. You had to get it over with. 2024, scientists said in the congressional hearing, it was no worse than a seasonal flu. So therefore, catch it, get the shit over with.
Today's top infectious diseases expert has found himself in an awkward position. Dr. Anthony Fauci admitted to the New York Times he'd nudged the numbers on herd immunity up to bolster public support for COVID vaccines.
So he's basically telling you The news, the media. This is what I tell people. Why would you sit and trust a government who tells you to your face, we're going to lie to you to get you to do something? We're going to lie to you to get you to do something. The government said that we're going to lie to you to get you to do something. This guy just said the government forced the numbers. They nudged the numbers. Even Fauci said, I'm going to nudge the numbers to get people to do something. When they lie to you to your face and tell you, we're going to lie to you to get you to do something, and you still say, okay, I believe you, that makes you the idiot.
Has found himself in an awkward position. Dr. Anthony Fauci admitted to the New York Times he'd nudged the numbers on herd immunity up to bolster public support for COVID vaccines.
The estimate is that you'll need about 70%, maybe 75% of the people in the country vaccinating to get that umbrella of herd immunity. Let's say we get 75%, 80% of the population vaccinated. We may actually have enough herd immunity protecting our society. You can make an extrapolation from other infections. I say between 75 and 80, 85% of the population.
When newer surveys said 60% or more would take it, I thought I can nudge this up a bit. So I went to 80, 85. We really don't know what the real number is. I think the real range is somewhere between 70 to 90%, but I'm not going to say 90%.
That's almost everybody. That's 9 out of 10
in the
people.
New York Times once again admitted to misleading the public yesterday.
This is not science.
So we are not smart enough to think for ourselves, says the unelected bureaucrat.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. The fundamentals are not rocket science. It's universal wearing of masks. The issue in that
so he's flipping back and forth.
You do whatever you can to safeguard the safety and the health of the children as well as the teachers.
Close the bars and keep the schools open. The founding editor of the online news
That's what he's
this
saying.
Can't be happening, says that the best thing to do.
And this is why they were showing all of his back and forth. You don't need a mask. Make sure you wear a mask. We need to protect the children. Keep the schools open, but close the bars. This dude was flipping left and right. Oh, I nudged the numbers. I had to get the public to buy into it. So I had to nudge the numbers a little bit to get people to buy into it. So I lied. I really don't know what it really is, but I lied. This is what they were telling people right to their faces. And these people believed it.
Do is simply be straight with people.
You got to trust people, tell them the truth, say, you know, this is a crisis. We're not sure how to handle it, but this is what we think is the best way to do it. That would be the honest way to do it. And then people would have more confidence in you, when you tell them to do stuff.
I should have herd immunity.
I'm not sure I would go with lying. I would go with that, he made a bad decision to not level with people with what they knew. For me, the best thing to do would be to tell people what you know and be straightforward with them and then change it if you find out something different later.
Dr. Fauci, I appreciate that point. The reason I ask the question is because there seems to have been some frustration inside the administration about Pfizer coming out with its announcement anticipating a booster. And from the reporting that I've done, I gather that the concern seems to be that, look, we haven't even gotten enough people vaccinated the first time, and conversations about a booster are not going to help that conversation. And there is a question about should we not engage with that discussion? Do we need to be straighter with the public that maybe a booster is going to be in the offing, and how you think about the push-pull? Because I know that part of this is a behavioral science issue. It became an issue when it came to masking.
Right.
Behavioral science.
You make, again, excellent points. So let me give you my perspective on it. The discussion about boosters is really an appropriate preparation on the part of the companies together with the NIH and the CDC and others in being prepared in the eventuality that you might need a boost. But
now, earlier they were saying you're not going to need anything, that this is not like the flu vaccine. This is more like the measles, where you get one and you're done. This is what they started out with. Everybody who I talked to who was for vaccine and all that stuff, they forgot all of this. And I trapped it all in history. And I said, no, they used to lie and say this was like the measles. You get one and you're done. They used to lie about it. Now they're trying to sell, well, you might need a boost. You might. And then we got to like about 5 of them. People forget because they have this selective memory where they don't want to remember the shit they were wrong about. They kept pushing and pushing and promoting and pushing and pushing and saying, these guys are right, you guys are wrong. We're pushing and pushing. Come to find out, they just kept lying to push. They kept kicking the can of lies further and further.
When you translate that into, we will need a boost, everyone's going to get a boost, that is not appropriate. It's not appropriate for the reasons that you just mentioned, is that we still haven't vaccinated enough people in the primary part of this. We only have 48% of the total population vaccinated. We have about 68 or so percent of adults having received at least one dose.
One.
If you think this is an issue in this country, take a look at what the WHO is faced with. When they have to worry about the entire world.
One world government.
That there are some countries when there's less than a couple of percent of the population being vaccinated. And this is a global pandemic, which requires a global response.
That the Congress in 2024 eventually said was nothing worse than the average seasonal flu. So it was a global pandemic that required a global response that the 2024 Congress asked him and everybody else, what the hell's really real with this? And they all said, yeah, we kind of overshot the mark. It really wasn't what we said it was. They lied. They lied. Man, thank you, Time to Wake Up. I appreciate you, brother. This is why I'm playing this, because people forgot about this kind of stuff, man. And now you got vice presidents and candidates talking about some, yeah, well, Trump, he dissing COVID. You know, you guys remember COVID, right? You remember COVID. He played the country. He didn't do right. Let me go back and play COVID stuff then if we're going to bring that up. Let's play reality back.
So you're absolutely right. Here we are talking about the possibility of a third shot boost.
3 shots now. We're up to 3.
The world has never even received a single shot. We've got to
and
make
we're
sure
still
we
alive.
take those things into consideration.
And we're still alive.
Is it better to get natural immunity to COVID-19 rather than immunity from a vaccine?
No, it's actually not better to get the natural disease and develop natural immunity from the disease.
This idiot right here, he's a doctor, and I found his shit online. His name is Philip L. Couillet. He's an MD with an MBA from the Augusta University Health System. He's the vice president and CMO, chief medical officer of Augusta University Health System. This guy is a complete idiot. And I made sure I trapped his video in history to prove how stupid he was, because I knew when I watched this video, me being an accountant, a basic accountant, watching a doctor talk about this with no common sense whatsoever. I'm watching this shit like, this dude's an idiot. He's an idiot. And he's got an MBA. He's a doctor. And I knew he was an idiot. Listen to him.
Into consideration.
Is it better to get natural immunity to COVID-19 rather than immunity from a vaccine?
No, it's actually not better to get the natural disease and develop natural immunity from the disease. This is for multiple reasons. One of those is that the immunity developed to COVID-19 can be highly variable. Some people may test positive, but never actually go on to develop the clinically apparent disease, and therefore not develop the long-lasting immunity that one can achieve from vaccination.
Wait. Oh, this is me talking.
So
wait a minute. Let me
never actually go on to develop the clinically apparent disease, and therefore not develop the long-lasting immunity that one can achieve from vaccination.
Wait. So this dude just said that you can contract the virus, test positive for the virus, but never develop antibodies for the virus because your body doesn't go to the disease stage of the virus. Does this dude know what he's talking about?
I was asking questions back then.
Vaccination actually produces more reliable and longer lasting immunity than some people may obtain with the disease.
The herd immunity that would be a blanket of protection for the country.
Plus, the disease itself has serious side effects and potential long-term complications that can be avoided by getting vaccinated. In this case, vaccination is safer and it's highly effective at preventing serious disease and complications from COVID-19.
But nobody in 2024 is allowed to talk about their complications. Nobody's allowed to talk about the deaths that occurred. Nobody's allowed to talk about it, but it's liars like this guy, liars like him out promoting shit, saying, go and get this. It's going to be much better for you than you getting it and just being who you are. I got it in 2019, December. I'm still alive. I have no complications. Go talk to somebody who actually got the shot. Talk to them. Ask them, how's your body doing? Probably pretty fucked up. Issues they never had before. And these people were doctors. These people were medical people. They were selling a narrative. They were selling bullshit. And you got a VP right now and these people trying to pull COVID back into the mix. You pulling COVID back into the mix on people who were intelligent enough to copy all this shit down when it was happening to prove that you guys were full of shit and lying. You can't sell me on, well, Trump didn't do anything about COVID. It was the flu. It was the flu. 2024, they said it in Congress. It was exactly the same as the seasonal flu. They said that this year. I don't make this shit up. I just record it. I observe it. I go find it. And the fact that I'm finding it, I'm observing it, I'm playing it back. These people all have nothing to say. They're just pissed off at me because I'm not stupid enough to believe this shit. I'm like, dude, I'm going to go find all this information. This was stuff that I recorded years ago. This video, I put this video online. What year was it? Let me see. Hold up. I put this video online 2 years ago. It's got 145 views. 145 views. I put this shit online 2 years ago. This is how they shadow banned everything they said. They wanted all this information to be out there. They wanted all this information to be out there. But they shadow banned it because they knew it was a bunch of bullshit. They don't let nobody find my videos out there like this because they know. And this is all these people talking who they wanted to promote, who they wanted everybody to find the narrative of. So why didn't they allow my video to be seen? Because I pointed out all the inconsistencies 2 years ago in 2022. I was pointing out the inconsistencies in what they were saying. And they said, hide that fucking video. Don't let nobody watch that. I'm not a person that's going to tell you how to think, but I'm someone who will tell you at least to think, like use your brain. I mean, we're all not completely stupid. We choose to be willfully stupid when you see something right in front of your face, but you turn around and say, I didn't see that. This is why are so many people vaccinated getting COVID-19? People might mistakenly think that C-19 vaccines will completely block infection, but the shots are mainly designed to prevent a severe illness.
We are seeing that the
look at him stuttering.
Ability of individuals.
You see how he's talking? Now, in the beginning of the video, look how fast he's flowing. In the beginning of the video, he is flowing fast. He's like, oh yeah, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. He's flowing in the beginning of the video. He's flowing, he's flying. Look at how he talks now. Now when he talks, he don't know what to say. He's thinking because he knows he's been caught in some shit.
That the ability of individuals who are infected through breakthrough infections, namely vaccinated people who ultimately get infected.
Breakthrough infections. Now remember, they said you get one shot, you're done. You develop long-lasting immunity. You develop long-lasting immunity. Now it's to the point where we got breakthrough infections from mainly vaccinated people, not mainly people who already had it and now are catching it again. Breakthrough infections from mainly vaccinated people. Look at him. He fucking stuttering. He's stuttering because he know he got caught and he don't know how to come up and say it right in front of an NIH back. This is why I trapped all of this data because I knew it was going to come in handy one day. That's why I say screenshot, trap data, buy books, screen record shit.
Who are infected through breakthrough infections, namely vaccinated people who ultimately get infected, that they are generally without symptoms or minimally symptomatic. However, it is.
So he's saying you can get it if he's saying if you're listen to how fucked up this is. If you get it and you're vaccinated, you're going to have minimal to no symptoms. Listen, he said, if you're vaccinated, you're going to get minimal to no symptoms. Now, the shit they were telling us at first is when we weren't vaccinated, they were telling us, well, how do you know you got it? That's why we got to check your temperature, Jeff. You probably don't have no symptoms. You're asymptomatic. So wait a minute. So you telling me that if I don't get the shot, if I don't get it, I'm going to be asymptomatic, which means I have no symptoms. So that means you got to take my temperature. You got to make sure this and that. I can walk around for months, years, asymptomatic, zero symptoms, no symptoms at all if I don't get it. Listen to what I'm saying. Follow me on this one. You're saying that if I don't get the shot, I'm going to be asymptomatic and not know that I have it, but I'm not going to have any symptoms. But then they turn around and say, well, if you get the shot, it's going to take away your symptoms. So you're saying you still got it, but having the shot takes away your symptoms. Wait a minute, because you told me that if I didn't get it, I wouldn't have any symptoms and it was bad. But now you're saying if I do get it and I don't have any symptoms, it's good. You're telling me some weird shit now. You're saying if I'm asymptomatic without it, it's bad. If I'm asymptomatic with it, I'm good. In both instances, I can still transfer it to people. Whether I got it or not, I can still transfer it. But you're saying get it so you don't have any symptoms. And I'm saying I got it and I don't have the shot and I, don't have any symptoms. So the bullshit of if you get it, if you get the shot, you're never going to get the virus. If once you get the shot, you're not going to get the virus. That just went. It just went. It was gone. But now, if you tell me if you get the shot, you're going to be asymptomatic. Well, you told me I was asymptomatic already without the shot, which is why you was taking my temperature every time I walked in the fucking building. You said you probably got it, Jeff, and don't know it. Is that a bad thing? If it's not a bad thing, why tell me get the shot so you don't know you got it? It'll kill your symptoms. The shit was so confusing. It was so stupid. And this is why he's mumbling and shit like that, because he know he sounds stupid as hell. Yeah, well, if you get the shot, you're going to be asymptomatic and you won't know you have it, which is a good thing. Well, it should be a good thing if I don't have the shot and don't know I have it.
That the
stupid
ability of individuals who are infected through breakthrough infections, namely vaccinated people who ultimately get infected, that they are generally without symptoms or minimally symptomatic. However, it is clear that they are capable of transmitting the infection to uninfected individuals.
Exactly.
And the data that they reported indicates that if you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a person who's vaccinated and has a breakthrough infection and compare that to the level of virus in the nasopharynx of an unvaccinated person who's infected, they're essentially equivalent.
So he's telling you right to your face, it doesn't matter if you get the shot or not. He's telling you right to your face. If we measure the level of virus in your body, if you don't have the shot versus if you do have the shot, it's the same. So basically the shot made no effect. It made no effect. It was just people selling bullshit. And he's telling people that right to their faces. This video got 145 views in 2 years. They shadow banned the shit out of this video because they knew the truth once it came out, and everybody would say that. They'd be like, bruh, why didn't everybody know this? Because they shadow banned the truth. This is not even me talking. This is him talking. He's the specialist. I'm just the one who said he was full of shit from the get-go. And he's telling people I was full of shit from the get-go, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to let you figure it out. Because I'm going to tell you, we took samples of people without the shot, samples of people with the shot. The sample size was exactly the fucking same. Holy shit. The shot really made no difference. It made no fucking difference. And I'm sitting there like, but yet you had all these people jumping through all this hoops, doing all this shit, making them think once you get the shot, you can't transfer the virus. He just told you to your face right here. You can have the shot and you can still transfer it. He told you that to your face. He just told you that to your face. You can have it and still transfer it. Where did he say that at? Right here.
Who ultimately get infected, that they are generally without symptoms or minimally symptomatic. However, it is clear that they are capable of transmitting the infection to uninfected individuals.
There you go.
And the data that they reported indicates that if you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a person who's vaccinated and has a breakthrough infection and compare that to the level of virus in the nasopharynx of an unvaccinated person who's infected, they're essentially equivalent, which would go along and underscore the fact that vaccinated people who do have a breakthrough infection are clearly capable of transmitting the infection to an uninfected person.
I'm about to talk again on this one. But I just wanted people to hear that shit out of his mouth. I wanted people to hear that out of his mouth because so many people were saying, well, once you get the shot, you can't pass it. He just told you, we're taking samples, and guess what? You can get the shot and pass it on. That means you're not immune. If you can get it and pass it along, your body didn't fight it enough. You're not immune. So how could you get the shot and develop herd immunity if you get the shot and you're not immune to it? If you get the shot and you still get sick and you still get the virus and your body can't fight it, it makes you not immune. You still got it. You have infections. You got symptoms. You can pass it. So therefore, how can you develop herd immunity when you're not immune yourself once you take this shit? It was making no sense to me. And I was talking to people to their face and they was like, you just don't get it, Jeff. You just don't get it. Why do you think we're having congressional hearings over right now? It's because certain people have a certain level of IQ that when we see some shit that don't make sense, we gonna question it. And for the governments and everybody to tell us, don't question us. You're an accountant. You're not a doctor. Yeah, but we got doctors telling us bullshit though. I should be able to question it. That's why we got second opinions. You have a practice. Doctrine is a practice. That means it ain't the real fucking game. This is practice. Practice. We talk about practice. Exactly. Lab rats, man. And I'm sitting there, the vaccine only made a difference in versus bank accounts. Real shit. And I was trying to tell people, man, I was trying to help people. And people was looking at me like I was trying to fuck their life up. I'm trying to help you. I told you these people were con artists. This was about money. This was about control. This was about power. Now you got a vice president trying to bring this shit up in 2024. Bro, we already know the truth. So for you to be the vice president candidate and for you to act like you don't know the truth and try to sell bullshit, just what Trump didn't do nothing about the vaccine. He ain't do nothing about the virus. I'm like, bro, he did enough because him and Fauci did not get along because he was willing to tell people the truth about it. And Fauci was like, don't tell people the truth. If you tell people the truth, oh, man, it's going to be a shit show because we got a lot of money up right now. We got a lot of money invested. We need our money back. We need people to take this shit. Don't tell them the truth. And Trump was like, well, I think people should be telling it. One day he was on a podium and they were saying some shit and Trump was like, well, I wish I would have told me. Nobody even told the president. The shit that was being said on stage that day, Trump was like, well, I wish somebody would have told me. He let the American people know these people are doing shit behind my back and I'm the president. He told people that shit right on live TV, right on live TV. And these people were lying. I'm going to let this play out.
I didn't create none of the content on this video. I just literally took what Fauci's been telling everybody and let you hear it for yourself. The timeline from a year ago to where we are today. So you tell me, is being vaccinated really all it's cracked up to be? Are we ever going to get to herd immunity with these vaccines? I don't think so. I think people like me who haven't been vaccinated, and I got sick in December of 2019 to January 2020, and I took care of myself at home, I've not been sick again. Haven't followed a single protocol, and I've not been sick again. And I've been around at least, I estimate, 21,000 people. Just goes to show.
Means you'd have herd immunity. Means you'd have herd immunity. Means you'd have herd immunity. A herd immunity that would be a blanket of protection for the country.
Yeah, that right there. That video I did 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Played a garage video. That one? I ain't worried about that video. That's a hard video right there. That's a hard video. I'm gonna have to play that one day. That's a crazy video. That was a hard one, man. And I did that video 2 years ago. That video was done 2 years ago. I got shit on my channel, man, that nobody's ever seen before because they shadow banned all my information. They don't let nobody watch the videos on my channel and shit, which is cool. That's cool. I'm gonna see if I got it in here somewhere. I'm gonna make sure that this video is actually in one of my playlists because I got a playlist in here that's called Deep Conversations for Debate. So Deep Conversations for Debate is where that video sits and other videos just like it. But I wanted to make sure that I logged a lot of shit in history because I knew these videos would be scrubbed, just like what they did with Trump and the fist pump and everybody's typing in Trump stuff and all of a sudden it's just gone or whatever. Nobody knows where it is. Now that video is too long for today. I'm about to get offline. We've been 3 hours on this live stream. That video is a little too long. I got to get out here and drive. I got to make some money today. But when I sit and I look at all these videos that I recorded already, and I'm noticing they're not getting a lot of plays, I understand what shadow ban. I mean, I got videos on my channel with 46,000 plays, 25,000 plays, 70,000 plays. I got videos. This one got 145. I know what it's like when you shadow ban information and you keep it out of the server, you keep it out of the algorithm. I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like, which is totally cool. And I told everybody, that's why I left Facebook, because of the shadow banning. This is shit that I never made up. This is all videos that I extracted from other shit they was telling us. This is what they were saying. I didn't have to say a word the whole time. They told you something in the beginning of that video. That's a 15-minute video. They were telling you shit in the beginning. And by the time the end, that's why I called it the timeline of deception. The name of that video is Timeline of Deception. Because in the beginning of the video, they were telling you one thing. By the time you got to the end, they were saying completely opposite of the shit they was telling you in the beginning. You got to log the truth. When you get vice presidential candidates and shit like that standing in front of you trying to make you think a narrative or think in a certain way, you got to have the IQ and intelligence level to say, bro, I know what you're trying to make me think. You trying to use the letters after your name, the MD, the PhD, the CNA, and all that shit. You trying to make me think a certain way. Well, guess what? I don't believe in you, dog, because I don't know you. And I know your ambitions is to get money out of my pocket. That's your ambition. To get me to work harder for no reason. That's your ambition. So what I do is I get all the data myself. I lay it all out on my laptop. I go through it myself. I go through this shit with a fine-tooth comb. When I'm watching videos, if y'all ain't never seen me online, you don't see me driving, I'm doing my research. I'm doing my homework. I want to know who's saying what, when they said it, and why they said it, and who they saying it to. I do my homework. I don't believe shit I see out there. All these Kamala Harris's followers, they have no idea who the fuck Tony West is. None of them. None of them know who Tony West is. You ask anybody who's on Team Kamala, who's Tony West? They'll be like, who what do you mean Tony West? Who's he? Who's Tony West? They don't know shit. They don't know shit. They have no idea who the major players in all these games are. They have no idea. We know all the players. We know the chess pieces. We know the bishop. We know the rook. We know the king. We know the queen. We know the pawn. We know all the pieces on the chessboard. These people, they just look, oh, I just know this chess piece, the rook. I know the rook. Okay, you know the rook. There's other pieces on this board that you don't know about. Once we start pointing out who all these pieces are, how this board is set up, now you can watch the moves now. The rook moves a certain way. The bishop moves a certain way. The king moves a certain way. The queen moves a certain way. If you don't know how the chessboard set up, you don't know how the moves work. We call out all the players on the board. And because I call out the players, I get shadow banned quite a bit. Because I'm not one of these idiots that just believe shit that somebody put in front of my face. I'll record you. I'll record you and play your ass back to yourself in about a year and be like, now what? Well, I guess I was giving bad information. You wasn't giving bad information. You were giving misinformation. You were giving misinformation. So don't sit up there and say I was giving bad intel. I was giving bad information. Oh, Robin, I know it was a rough video to watch. That was a rough video to watch. She said, I cried when I watched that video. We have to remember what we went through when we get complacent. Oh, yeah, that like I said, that was a hard video to watch. It was a hard video. When I make it, oh, trust me, my stomach turns watching myself speak. And I don't quite do that to myself all the. When I watch that video, my stomach turns. I get pissed. I get pissed because all the people I tried to help called me dangerous. All the people I tried to help called me misinformed. All the people I tried to help said I was out of my fucking mind and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But here we sit in 2024. I'm right and they fucking quiet. That's why I can't watch that video. And that's me. I made that video. I don't even watch that shit. It's out there. I don't deal with it. It's recorded for history. It's there. And I'm just one of those people that believe if you can't tell the truth to yourself and tell the truth to the people around you, they don't need to be around you. I've always been stand up on everything I stood on. If you don't like me, cool, you ain't got to be around me. But just know when you are around me, oh shit, I'm telling the truth. I'm bringing all the smoke. When you come around me, I'm telling the truth. You can bring rhetoric all you want. Bring all the rhetoric you want. But when I start dropping facts on your ass, don't get mad at me. Get mad at the facts. The truth hurts. The fucking truth hurts. Don't get mad at me. Motherfuckers won't sit around and talk shit. Hey, I just know how the game is. I know the chess pieces on the board. I know how to move. A lot of people don't know how to move. They come into the game thinking this shit is checkers. They start moving that shit like checker pieces. I'm like, nah, bro, this is chess. What are you doing? Oh, I can't. No, motherfucker, this is checkers. I mean, this is chess. This ain't checkers. Back up some. Understand the game. Read the room. Read the room. And that's why my channel is set up the way it is. A lot of people, if your IQ level is too low, you might not make it around here. You get left behind. I know Bush had that whole shit, no child left behind. I don't have no adult left behind. I leave adults behind. There is no child left behind shit over here. We leave people behind all the time. Short bus is on a whole nother fucking level. We leave people behind all the time. There is no child left behind. I don't play by that mantra over here. We leave people behind. If you can't keep up, that's life. You might have to jump on another channel. You might have to do some research, do some studies and shit like that. This is a very fast channel. I got shit on this channel, like I said, nobody's even seen. I got videos with 13, 14 views on it, videos with 8 views on it. I hide a lot of shit. I got 2 hidden videos on my channel I ain't even dropping yet. Because when I do drop it, trust me, motherfuckers gonna be like, wow. And these videos are not new videos. They're old videos. When I drop that shit, wow. Because I don't think everybody can handle a truth. We have some very weak-minded, weak people around us. You got to weed through the crowd. This channel is a weed through people channel. Because a lot of people don't like me. People unsub me all the time. That shit don't even bother me. This channel is based on views, not subs. It's based on views. So when people are watching my shit, people are doing my shit, guess what? They like it, man. See, I do live by, if they want to be wrong, let them. Finger red number one. Exactly. Hey, love you too, time to wake up. That's my brother right there, man. You know, like I said, I'm one of those people, man. If somebody don't like me, like how I flow, guess what? You've been on this planet for a long time without me. You can keep doing that shit. I'm only here to help you. I'm not here to hurt you. But if you're here trying to hurt me or hurt anybody around me, I'm going to drop some truth on your ass real quick. And it's not going to feel good because I protect everybody around me with anything I got. I don't give a fuck if you're a doctor, a scientist, a politician. I'm going to drop some truth on your ass. If your feelings are hurt, you can call me racist all you want. You can call anybody I fuck with racist. And I told you, we all racist. Just like I told you, we all felons. And a lot of us don't even realize how much of a felon we truly are. I'm going to drop that felon video about how we're all felons. I'm going to drop that clip. And I can tell you for a fact, I know we've committed more felonies and not been charged for them than probably anybody in any other country. America has way too many rules on the books. Excuse me. We got way too many rules on the books. So when we're out there doing what we think is normal life and we're actually committing felonies, there's a lot of felons out here walking in the streets that don't even realize they're felons every day. They have no idea they're doing felonious activities. No idea. But they'll talk to Trump. Oh, he's a felon. We're all felons, dog. When I drop that video, you're going to see why I say that. Even the Supreme Court justice say that. We're all felons. We all commit at least one felony a day. And like I said, me working on cars, there's things that I do when I'm working on cars that I know are felony activities. Things that I do that I know are felony activities. Trust me when I tell you that. A lot of mechanics out there that work on cars. A lot of people that work on their own houses, working on their own houses. A lot of people that do things with childcare things. We're all committing felonies and we don't even know it. And some of us know it. Some of us don't realize it. Some of us are driving around with people's kids in our cars. And it's almost like transporting kids. We have no documentation, no paper, no nothing. We just going off of somebody's word. Half the time when you're going on, when somebody asks you to do something, you think they're just being a friend asking you to do something without documentation. Really, you shouldn't be able to do it. You should have documentation when you do it. Because the fact that you're going across state lines with somebody's kids, taking them to Disneyland, you're committing a felony. That's interstate child trafficking. You're doing interstate child trafficking, even though you're taking somebody else's kid from your state to Disneyland and back. That's trafficking. You know how I found out? Because one time I took my own son from Las Vegas to California to Knott's Berry Farms. I took my own kid to Knott's Berry Farms. I was going to be arrested by the police for leaving the state with my own kid without written permission from his mom, even though she knew we were going to Knott's Berry Farm. We went to Knott's Berry Farm. She knew we were there. She saw the pictures. She called the police. The police said, we could arrest you right now for child trafficking. It's your own child, but you don't have legal custody of your child. Any child you don't have legal custody of, you need written documentation stating whoever said you can take him gave you written permission. I was committing a felony with my own kid going to Knott's Berry Farm. People do this shit every day. We're all felons and we don't even realize it. I can have you arrested by asking you, hey, can you do me a favor? Take my son to college for me. You take him to college and he's underage. I can call the cops real quick and have you arrested, even though I told you to take him. You don't have written documentation. Plus, you don't have legal custody of my kid. I can have charges pressed against you. You got to go fight in court. You got to get an attorney. You got to do all that shit. You can set people up real quick. A lot of people get set up by people they know. A lot of people get set up by people they know. There are felonies out there every day. When I drop my next video, I'm telling you, people talk shit about Trump. He's a felon. I tell motherfuckers, we all felons. I damn near got arrested taking my own kid to Knott's Berry Farm by a woman who knew we were at Knott's Berry Farm, who said it was cool to go to Knott's Berry Farm, but I never got written permission. That's where I fucked up. That's where I fucked up. The police were sitting there. I'm at the police station. The lady I was dating at the time was at the police station. We are at the police station. My kid's in the police station. We all sitting there like, I'm about to go to jail for taking my kid to go have fun. Ain't this some shit? And sure enough, the cops came in and they said, well, we talked to the district attorney. We know what's happening. We see the text messages on you guys' phones. We're going to deem your text messages written permission. We're going to deem the fact that she didn't say you could, but she knew you were there and she didn't have a problem with you going. We have to call it permission. We're going to deem it as permission. That's the only way I got out. I had a cool ass cop, and when he contacted the DA, when we were sitting in the police station, I was going to go to jail that day. Coming back in town, I was going to go to jail that day. Felony. A father taking his kid to Knott's Berry Farms. Trust me, more people are felons in this country than what you think. We all doing felonious activities because there are way too many laws on the books. The laws, luckily, the DA in Vegas saw it, and the DA was like, we're not pressing charges. Send him home. Send him home. Me, my girl at the time, my kid, we all went to the house. No jail time. 0. It happens. It happens. And guess what? People can call me a felon for doing that. To this day, you can call me a felon. If I would have got convicted, you could have called me a felon. And with child trafficking, kidnapping, guess what? I wouldn't be able to own firearms. I wouldn't have been able to have a job in corporate America. I probably wouldn't be able to buy half the shit I buy. My credit wouldn't make a difference because I had a felony conviction on my record for taking my kid to Knott's Berry Farms. I'm telling you, when they talk about Trump and 34 felonies, I'm like, he's a paper felon. He ain't even a real felon. He's a paper felon. You filed your taxes wrong. You had some accountants, whoever your accountants were that filed your taxes wrong. They didn't classify, a payment to a hooker as they classified it as legal expenses instead of something else. And you got a felony based on that one action. You got a felony on that one action. Guess what? I damn near went to prison for taking my kid to Knott's Berry Farm. Kidnapping is way worse than a paper crime. I would have never been able to own a firearm. You could be a felon and still own a firearm. Look it up. So many states, each state has a different law about it. You can be a felon of a soft crime and still own a firearm. So when people say felons can't own firearms, yes, they can. You just don't know the fucking law. Like I said, this is a chessboard. Same fucking checkers. It's a chessboard. Know to play. You can be a felon and still have firearms. If you didn't know that, that means you've been playing checkers your whole fucking life. And we've been playing chess the whole time. There's certain felonies you can have a firearm. Not every felon is unconstitutional. You still have a right to a Second Amendment with the felony on your record. You still have a right to your Second Amendment. If you don't know that, you playing fucking checkers. I'm telling you, this shit gets deep, man. I've studied law. I've took the LSAT. I was going to become attorney. The same woman I was with when we went to Knott's Berry Farms, she was the one, she had a hair salon, and I was supposed to go to law school. I was going to go to law school in Vegas, in Nevada. But because the only law schools on the East Coast wanted me, and the one William S. Boyd Law School at UNLV took the top 150 scores out of 3,000. I wasn't in the top 150 out of 3,000, and I wasn't leaving my home to go to the East Coast to go to law school. She had to work. She had a hair salon out there, so we couldn't just uproot ourselves out of Vegas and move across country. All her clients were in Vegas. Long story with all that shit, and that's why I never went to law school. But just because I didn't go to law school don't mean I stopped studying law. I'm still in that shit. I'm in that shit every day. So when I see people out here making their little checker moves and their checker moves, I make chess moves, dog. You don't know some shit? Nah, you better do something different. Do something different. Study the chessboard. Study that chessboard, man. Uh-oh, something's going on with my audio. Uh-oh, maybe I'm getting too deep in this shit. We passed the 3-hour mark anyway. So we are past the 3-hour mark right now. I'm going to have to get off this. I'm going to have to, like I said, it's only 2:30. So I'm about to go in here, eat me some, shower up. I got to do some stuff to the truck or whatever. Man. This is Emmett Till, victim of that whistling thing. So watch out. Yeah. And on top of that, the lady even came clean later in life. The lady came clean later in life and said he never whistled at her. She just didn't like black people. She was a racist old. That's a true racist. When you use racism as power like that, he never whistled at her. And she came out and said it. He never whistled at me. She just told her brothers that so they would beat him up. They had no idea. She had no idea they would go that far. So yeah. It's a thief who sold a calendar got 12 months. That's funny shit. All right, my man. Hey, y'all be easy out there, man. I'm glad you guys sat on this live stream with me. This was another one. We had the Trump We had Trump speaking in the beginning. We had Kamala and her guy second. And then we've got, at the end, we had, the COVID shit. The only reason why I put that COVID shit in there is because the Harris camp is going to try to use that against intelligent people. Like, you can't use that against intelligent. You bring that up, you shooting yourself in the foot because you trying to trick people who already know the truth about it. So, man, I'm just letting y'all know, I already know the truth about the whole thing. I'm completely cool with how it played out for me. I'm sorry for everybody who got the shot. Sorry for people who died, got injuries from that shit. Sorry about it, but you can't take it back. I did the best I could do to put information out there back then. It was shadow banned. I mean, in 2 years, 145 views. I did my best back then. Whatever happened. I'm still here. I'm healthy. I'm about to go eat, cook, swim, fuck with these dogs for a minute. And I got to work tonight, make me some money. But thank you guys for the super chat. Appreciate you time to wake up, man. And you always taking care of me, brother. I appreciate that, man. 3 hours on this thing. And y'all be out there working, making that money. And I'm like, I got to get out next. Now I want to go make this money. But, man, y'all be up there, brother. Y'all get up there. Hopefully, let me see. It's only 2:30. And it's what? Thursday. So hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to try to do a couple of live streams a week. I've been, doing better with my live streams. I'm going to try to do some more live streams this week. But, doing videos, I'm still dropping videos, but I'm going to try to do more live streams, man. But I appreciate that. You said you're a regular stand-up behind the screen time. Real shit. He's funny as